Bases dropped on a new round of SDH AM. Jon here, you there. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. Since it is a Friday, that means one thing and one thing only, is that we have to start the show off as we always do. Simple way to go about it, but it always reminds us where we are.
Come on, man. Go for it, dude.
It's Friday. Friday. Friday.
But it's also this. No, we will not be. There will not be any maypoles or anything like that. You don't want to see me dance. But it is, in fact, May 1st. And that was, I guess, just a bit of an homage to Stanley Cup playoffs. So, all right, got that out of the way. Show is stacked. And I mean that in the most positive way possible. We cover a bunch of different things in a bunch of different directions. Between now and 9:30, we catch you up on your news. News kind of out of Vancouver, kind of out of Vegas. We'll get into that. We got to get into your juice boxes. And we've got to get into the folks in the middle and find out stylistically how they are when it comes to calling matches, or at least looking at things from historical perspectives going into the weekend. 9:30, really cool interview. And the Canadian Premier League is off and running. They are heading into match week number 4. One of the clubs has taken an approach to assembling their side, much like we have seen with several clubs overseas. FC Supra is based in Quebec province, and what they have decided to do is build their roster with only Quebec players. They're 2-1 out of the blocks in their first season, so we catch up with their co-founder and president, Rocco Placentino. That comes up at 9:30, and we'll find out about the why. We'll find out about what it's like to give birth to something in this manner. And so we'll kind of go behind the scenes with a very, very unique approach in building an expansion franchise in one of the leagues here in this hemisphere. So that's at 9:30, Rocco Placentino from FC Supra. 10 o'clock, we give our first cap to Lori Lindsey. And it is trying to catch up with one of the busiest folks in the business. And we get to actually have her seated, maybe. I don't know. She might be in an airport someplace. She might be in a hotel. She might be catching her breath. There might be an oxygen tank next to her. Might be just coffee and a donut. We'll find out. 10 o'clock. Lori Lindsey makes her first visit here to the morning show. 10:30. It is opposition research. And for that, we catch up with the play-by-play voice of CF Montreal, Jon Still. Then at 11 o'clock, it's a bit of a tease for Red Clay, which comes up at noon, which is also stacked. We go to Greenbrier, Thomasville twice, and Crisp County. That's at noon. We also go through your brackets and your scores from last night, set up your matchups. And we, as a bit of a tease, we try round number 2 and catching up with Abby Cuneo, the girls head coach at Pierce County, after their big shutout over Shaw on the left-hand side of the bracket, low left and AA girls. And so we'll find out what's going on with her at Blackshear from Pierce County Elementary. So that's the show. Plus, like I said, all the MLS stuff that we get into, all your juice boxes and your refs and your stuff that we get into on a normal basis. So that is where we are this morning. A lot of different guests, a lot of different directions, but a very cool show. And thanks for hanging out as you always do. Morning, Derek. Morning, Abby. All right. From now until 9:30, I guess it'll be kind of an elongated opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting your day with the most important stories on the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy-bodied, notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. And if we do have time, we do have a rather elongated John Texter update, and it's about kind of what we figured. Just more of the same when it comes to the economics of the matter. All right, let's get you into what happened in kind of sort of Vancouver, kind of sort of Vegas, and it appears that there is either going to be or there already is genuine interest from an ownership group about the Vancouver Whitecaps and not keeping them in their current home. So Major League Soccer has received a formal offer to buy the Whitecaps, who wants to move the team to Vegas. And so, of course, what you've done there is reinforced the fans in Vancouver and just gotten them more and more resolved in their thoughts. But right now, MLS has received an offer from Grant Gustafson, son of Kentucky billionaire Tamara Gustafson, grandson of B. Wayne Hughes, the founder of Public Storage. And so that is coming from our friends at The Athletic, and Paul Tenorio added to it a bit last night as well. Came out, of course, after the show was off the air yesterday. Forbes estimates the Gustafson net worth at $8.5 billion with a B. Gustafson Group released a statement regarding the bid. Very, very positive about Vegas. The investment group will privately finance this endeavor and is not connected to any of the recently announced arena ideas in Las Vegas. This is quoting the release. Coming weeks and months, we look forward to the opportunity to share more. However, out of respect for the league's deliberations and community stakeholders, we are refraining from sharing details of our proposal. Look forward to continuing to work for a positive outcome for the game, fans of the league, and Las Vegas. And Abby, we do not. It's either the 19th or the 20th. We don't know yet. And I don't know. I mean, and Morning David, I don't know if the club is going to stay down there. It would kind of make sense for the entire time, considering that you're playing them twice in, I think, 4 or 5 days. You know, do you go down, play, come back, go down, play, and go back before you go to Columbus? I think you stay the entire time. Gustafson committed to building a soccer-specific venue in Vegas as a part of the offer, flexibility to play at an alternate venue while the stadium process is underway. Translation, probably Allegiant. Terms of the offer not immediately known. According to Tenorio, the young Gustafson lives in Vegas. He's 30, graduate of USC, Southern California, involved in the athletic department and helped develop the NIL program there. Works with the basketball program, involved in the management of his family's farm, quoted as the country's premier thoroughbred farm with decades of storied champions throughout the stables, end quote. And so now you have Save the Caps and everyone in Vancouver, catching fire over this, and once again adding to the resolve that we're seeing from the Caps fans. Club issued a statement. They said that they're aware of the reporting. Back on Monday, before Gustafson came through, they were aware of the reporting, but once again, they mentioned the hundred interested individuals that kicked the tires, but none of them are serious. And so MLS released a statement, remaining focused on working with the Whitecaps and local stakeholders to determine whether a sustainable long-term path for the club can be achieved. While in Vancouver for the FIFA Congress, Commissioner Don Garber met with the Premier of British Columbia, David Eby. Also had the opportunity to speak with Premier Eby, Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim, BC Deputy Minister of Tourism Silas Brownsey, PAVCO President and CEO Rahana Din during the Congress, quoting, the conversation's constructive, appreciating the time and engagement of local leadership. They're going to continue discussions in the days ahead, and league leadership plans to return to Vancouver in coming weeks for additional meetings. So the Gustafson gambit is now online. So we got to keep an eye on the Gustafson the Gustafson gambit when it comes to the possibility of the Vancouver Whitecaps and their shifting locations from Vancouver to Las Vegas if the Gustafson family has if they have their way Justin Birnbaum and Eben Novi-Williams. Once again, they pieced a story together. Tamara Gustafson, once again, she is the largest shareholder in Public Storage. And so it was, that has been the element that has been pieced together here as well. So you got to keep an eye out on that. And we will most certainly do so when it comes to anything involving relocation, anything involving Vancouver and Major League Soccer. And so we'll keep an eye on all of this. Once again, you got the meetings that are going on in Vancouver with FIFA. So grandson of B. Wayne Hughes, who co-founded Public Storage, died in 2021. Gustafson's group, according to Sportico, submitted a, quote, bid for consideration to the league office. So the rep for the Whitecaps, which are worth about $450 million, according to Sportico's latest numbers, did not immediately respond to any comment. Rep for Major League Soccer confirmed the league did get the proposal. Sportico's valuation of Vancouver, ranking 28th to 29. $450 million valuation on an MLS average of 767, according to Sportico. U.S. Sports rank 153rd, 2024 revenue of $47 million, revenue in 25 of 50. Greg Kerfoot, Jeff Mallett, Steve Luzo, and Steve Nash are the co-owners. According to Sportico, very little about Grant Gustafson available online. Bio notes shared by the group's representatives said that he, quote, stands at the intersection of legacy and vision, carrying forward a tradition of excellence while defining a path distinctly his own, period, closed quote. That was definitely created in a lab. And so once again, the bio references his time at Southern California. USC's athletic department did not respond to a request for comment. And so those are the early returns on Grant Gustafson and the idea that that Grant Gustafson / Gustafson family are interested in Vancouver, but in Vancouver, moving them to Las Vegas. So that is that's the latest that we have on Vancouver. And there was a hashtag Save the Caps campaign, and they had a march and a protest that was going on yesterday in Vancouver, once again, because the FIFA Council is there for their massive meeting. And so, like I said, we'll keep an eye on this, and we'll see what happens when as things continue to pick up speed. Rob Shaw in British Columbia, who is at Czech News, Glacier Media, CBC Radio, in press conferences yesterday, Ravi Kahlon, the BC Minister for Jobs and Economic Growth, said that he's hoping dialogue with MLS was genuine on the Whitecaps, but with news about the bid from Vegas, Kahlon says, quote, if they've already made a decision to move the team, I'd rather they just tell us. And so once again, we'll keep an eye on the Whitecap situation as we go forward. And you've had people already mocking up logos and things like that with mountain lions on, mountains and overseeing the Vegas, valley and all this kind of stuff. But there you go. So that's the latest with Vancouver as we know it. So Public Storage and the Gustafson family apparently engaged / interested, however you wish to refer to it. Okay. MLS, we've got to get into the matchups on the weekend, and we have news coming up in about 10. Well, I've got a story and an interview coming up in about 10 minutes. Rocco Placentino from FC Supra joining us at the bottom of the hour for a piece on how they pieced it together. And literally, they have decided that when they came online, they were going to just have Quebec-born soccer players as their approach to building a roster. Like I said, they're 2-1 out of the blocks right now in the CPL. And so they have I think they have their first home match this weekend. We get into that coming up in a bit. So Rocco Placentino, 9:30. Lori Lindsey gets her first cap at 10. Jon Still, CF Montreal play-by-play at 10:30. Abby Cuneo, the girls head coach at Pierce County, is a bit of a red clay tease. She joins us at 11. And hopefully the cell signal and the signal strength will be better than it was when we were trying to fight it yesterday with her, with phones and wireless and things like that. So we're having her on the morning show to break down everything as we get into Red Clay coming up at noon. Okay, get you into juice boxes and crews and things like that when it comes to Major League Soccer here on the weekend. Now, once again, these are just juice boxes. Once again, we always believe that this is just a part of the information. We know that it's out there. We understand that folks like to go down this path. It gives us an idea as to favorites and things like that when it comes to what we're staring at over the weekend. And then we'll get into who's in the middle and what to keep an eye out for coming up with all of these matches. 1 o'clock, which basically means 110. Toronto gets the matinee. They are a dog to San Jose, who's a plus 110, draws a plus 280. Toronto FC is a plus 229. 230, which means 240. Seattle or 255 if this is a big FOX game. Seattle on the road at Sporting. Seattle's a minus 139. Sporting is a plus 375. Your draw's a plus 309. 445, which means 455. Portland at RSL. RSL a big favorite at a minus 200. Portland a plus 500. And the draw is a plus 380. 715, which means 725 for the Saturday showcase. It is the I-5 Turnpike Derby thing. I don't know if they even have a name for it yet. Messi and friends hosting the purple team at a minus 323, draws a plus 550, and Orlando is a plus 750. Atlanta United at home against CF Montreal, even money a plus 100, draws a plus 270. CF Montreal is a plus 260. 7:40 starts. Revs hosting Charlotte at a plus 120. Charlotte's a plus 225, and the draw is a plus 260. I wonder what the lineup's going to look like for Dean Smith. Crew hosting Minnesota United at a minus 133. Draws a plus 300. Minnesota United, a big dog on the road at a plus 333. Red Bulls in Harrison hosting FC Dallas at a plus 110. Draws a plus 280. FCD is a plus 225. Philadelphia favored at home against Nashville. Favored at home against Nashville because of what happened in the midweek, obviously, with travel and reorienting and all that kind of stuff. So Philadelphia favored at home, a plus 145, draws a plus 250, and Nashville SC is a plus 190, 840 kicks. Chicago hosting FC Cincinnati at a minus 137, draws a plus 330, and the road team is a dog at a plus 333. We've seen that number before. What is it I always say about juice boxes and the composites? Sometimes it's just spaghetti on the wall. That sounds like a good number. Oh, I like that. Do that for more than one. Dynamo hosting the Rapids at Hell in a Shell at a minus 110. Hopefully the attendance will be bigger than it was in the midweek for the Open Cup against Lou City. Houston to minus 110, draws a plus 290. Rapids are a plus 270. Late games, 9:40 Eastern. San Diego FC hosting LAFC as a favorite. They've lost 5 in a row, and they're going to be without Jeppe Tverskov for another handful of matches. Favorite at a plus 145, draws a plus 280. LAFC's a plus 170. If you were with us yesterday, Nico Moreno enjoyed the draw option at a plus 280. He also liked over 3.5. LAG at 10:40 hosting Vancouver. LAG at a plus 229, still no Joao Klaus. Draws a plus 300. Vancouver favored on the road at a plus 104. Then on Sunday, 3:10, NYC hosting DC United at a minus 143 at the 106 by 68. At least I think so. I think it's in the Bronx. Don't quote me yet. Hang on. Maybe in the Bronx, possibly in the Bronx. Efforting, hang on. Sunday. No, it's at Citi Field. Okay, so it's in Queens. So it's not quite the 106 by 68, but it's still a little, it's not fully the way it's supposed to be. Not quite 106 by 68, but close. So Sunday at Citi Field, NYC is a minus 143, hosting DC United at a plus 409. Your draw is a plus 300. 540, Austin FC hosting St. Louis City SC. Austin's a plus 160 at Q2, draws a plus 250, and St. Louis City is a plus 170. Just to let you know, in MLS Next Pro, and we talked yesterday about the Kohlberg Kravis Roberts, otherwise known as KKR investment, and big news for MLS Next Pro going forward. Atlanta United 2, 6 o'clock Eastern, Saturday night. we may just be giving you updates, considering that we have two things going on at once. So just keep an eye out on the socials for SDH. It is Carolina Core hosting the Twos at Truist Point. Kickoff a little after 6 o'clock. And Atlanta United 2 in the top 10 in the power rankings in MLS Next Pro. So we'll see what happens with the Twos heading to Core, traditionally a very, very tough place to play. But to update you on the standings in MLS Next Pro, just in the Eastern Conference, Atlanta right now number 5. They have a match in hand on some of the folks around them. Crown Legacy off and running, 8 matches, 21 points, 4 points clear of Red Bull 2. Philadelphia Union 2 and Crew 2 at 14. Atlanta United 2's at 13 points through 7 matches. They are number 5. Core is 14th out of 16, 7 matches, no wins, 3 losses, 4 draws, and they do have 1 extra point shootout win. So 7 matches, 5 points, and Core are in 14th place in the Eastern Conference. But traditionally, like I said, Truist Point, a very, very difficult place to play. The surface, the dimensions, it has its own little quirkiness to it. So the Twos going on starting a little after 6. Atlanta United kicking off at 7:40 Eastern time on Saturday night. We'll keep you posted when it comes to how we are keeping up to date with everything that's going on there. So that is the rundown of your juice boxes. Now, let's let you know who's in the middle for each of these matches. And Abby's off to do the TIFO. So have a good TIFO. All right, so your assignments for match day 11. FC Supra's Rocco Placentino coming up around the corner. Toronto and San Jose, Michael Vene, I believe this is his first time in the middle this year. Corey Richardson, Jared Kader-Labouille, your ARs. Lorenzo Hernandez, your 4th. Yunus Morakchi and Jeff Mushik are upstairs. Sporting in Seattle, Sergei Demyanchuk, a man who is not to be messed with. Don't sternum poke him. Don't do any of that. There's a feature out there that'll tell you why. Demyanchuk in the middle, Megan Mullen, Jeffrey Greason, your ARs. Aleo Kalume is your 4th. Lucas Zapala, TJ Zablocki are upstairs. Real Salt Lake and Portland Timbers. Rosendo Mendoza in the middle. Brooke Mayo, Matthew Nelson are your ARs. Christian Campo Hernandez, your 4th. JC Rivero and Craig Lowry are upstairs. Guido Gonzalez Jr. is at New Stadium. Chris Elliott and Adam Garner are your ARs. Fotis Bazakis, your 4th. Kevin Stott and Fabio Tovar are upstairs. Rubiel Vasquez in the middle at Mercedes-Benz. Nick Uranga, Brian Poschel, your ARs. Joshua Encarnacion, your 4th. Lucas Zapala, Jeff Mushik are upstairs. So Jeff Mushik gets the day-night doubleheader. Crew in Minnesota United, Sergi Boyko in the middle, Kyle Atkins and Rhett Hamill, your ARs. Rodrigo Albuquerque is your 4th. Edvin Jurasevich and Joshua Patlak are upstairs. Revs in Charlotte, Pierre-Luc Lazier in the middle, Oscar Mitchell Carvalho and Gianni Facchini are your ARs. Chris Penso, your 4th. Michael Radchik, Claudio Badea are upstairs. Red Bull and FC Dallas. Jared Marufo is in the middle for this one. Justin Howard, Ben Pilgrim, your ARs. J.C. Griggs, your 4th. Kevin Terry Jr., TJ Zablocki are upstairs. Philadelphia, Nashville, Elahio Adegin is in the middle. Andrew Bigelow, Brian Dunn, your ARs. Callan Radosov is your 4th. Jeff Gamble and Mike Kampmeinert are upstairs. Joe Dickerson in Chicago for Chicago and FC Cincinnati. Cameron Blanchard, Logan Brown, your ARs. Ricardo Montero Araya is your 4th. JC Rivero and Craig Lowry are upstairs. Houston and Colorado at Helena Shell. Alan Chapman's in the middle. He won't call any fouls. Jeremy Hansen and Matt Trotter, your ARs. Marcus de Oliveira, your 4th. Yunus Morakchi and Jonathan Johnson are upstairs. San Diego FC and LAFC. Philip Dujic is in the middle at the Murph Dragon. Felicia Mariscal, Walt Heatherly, your ARs. Katya Koroleva is your 4th. Carol Ann Chenard and Robert Schapp are upstairs. Morningdale. Galaxy in Vancouver at Dignity Health Sports Park. Alexis De Silva's in the middle. Mike Nickerson, Tyler Wyrostic, your ARs. Remy Tuchon, your 4th. Michael Radchik and Mike Kampmeinert are upstairs. Sunday, NYC and DC United. Ismail Elfath in the middle at Citi Field. Stefan Tanaka-Freund, Eric Weisbrod, your ARs. Malik Badawi is your 4th. Daniel Radford, Claudio Badea are upstairs. John Freeman, no relation, in the middle at Austin and St. Louis City at Q2. Jeremy Kiso, Bennett Savage, your ARs. Mohammed Hassan is your 4th. Edvin Jurasevich, Joshua Patlak are upstairs. Now, before we go to the interview with Rocco Placentino, Rubiel Vasquez, that's who we need to investigate here. So who scored? And so we need to find out MLS referee statistics for Rubiel Vasquez in 2026, not 2025. Thank you, who scored, for the volunteering anyway. So MLS, ref stats. for Rubio Vasquez and what to anticipate at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So, Rubio Vasquez, fouls per game. He is down the list. Boy, is he down the list. He is 26th out of 30. 21.86 on the average. We had Alan Chapman last time, who calls on average 14.86. Rubio Vasquez has 21.86, so he doesn't call a lot of fouls. Fouls per tackle at 0.81, so that puts him back on the first page of the 30. Middle of the pack, 16th in fouls per tackle. Penalties per game, Vasquez is 8th. He has called 1 penalty in his 7 matches. Yellows per game, 15th, middle of the pack, 3.86. Yellows, 5th in yellow cards issued at 27. And then obviously the 1 red card, so he would be down the list at that. So Rubio Vasquez, at least so far, if you go by the book and go by the averages in 2026, does not call a lot of fouls. But when he calls fouls, more often than not, keep an eye out for the yellow card. 3.86 yellows per match on 21.86 fouls per game. So 5th in yellows per game, 25th out of 30 or 26th out of 30 in fouls called. So if he maintains type, not going to call a lot of fouls for the second time in a row at a home match at Mercedes-Benz, but he's not afraid to give yellow cards. So we'll see with Montreal, who's not afraid to shoulder you up and body you up and all those kinds of things. We'll see what happens there with them. And that's your rundown of who's in the middle and what may happen at Mercedes-Benz if we go with the laws of averages. Thanks to our friends at Who Scored for those numbers. Now, we are in the second half hour, and so that means we go and catch up with Rocco Placentino. This is a really cool story, and we've seen it in other leagues and other places around the world where you have teams that build on local talent. We've seen it in Spain, and so now you're seeing it in Quebec province in Canada. So Rocco Placentino is the co-founder and president of FC Supra, their first year in the Canadian Premier League. And so we caught up with him to find out about this approach, about this idea, and with all of this stuff going on as an expansion franchise. We had to ask these questions. And so here's our conversation with Rocco Placentino. Really good stuff. Interesting conversation about life in the Canadian Premier League and one approach that is different than what we've seen here in this hemisphere. So, Rocco, let me go all the way back to the beginning here. How long ago was this idea of having Supra be what it is? How far back are we going here?
Yeah, so it goes even before the name of Supra. I would say it's at least 5 years where I thought about this idea of bringing a CPL team to our province of Quebec, because we felt that there's a need for a second professional team in our province because of all the hidden gems that we have in this province of Quebec.
So was that the genesis of the idea of just having Quebec-born players to be the roster, or what was it? Just franchise first and then, oh yeah, let's go ahead and do things this way because we've seen it in other places? No,
the foundation has always been the same from day one in terms of having players that are from Quebec. That never changed my I never changed my ways on that. That was the first thing in my mind, and like I said, we built the foundation from there, and then it was to find the way to do the expansion application with the CPL, find investors, get stadium. But the moral of this Supra story it started with Quebec players from day one. So
how I know that having an expansion team in a way is like birthing a child. It's like when you have families that go that way. How much of a challenge has it been for you to put all of these pieces together on the field, off the field, everyone's same message? How much of a challenge has this been?
Yeah, look, it's been a crazy roller coaster ride from day one until the last August 19th, where we got the franchise. That morning, I felt that it wasn't going to happen, right? So, just to show you how ups and downs were like on a weekly basis, but I never give up. I never gave up. I kept on pushing, and for us, there was a motive, right? So the motive was to make people understand in this province that it was a need, and then it's about having all the stars aligning, whether it's infrastructure, investors, the application, the soccer part of it, the business, like everything had to come together, and it did. And we're so happy that we're finally kicking a soccer ball.
I want to get into that in a little bit here, but the on the field product and trying to get that right mix of players. How much of a player base are we talking about here in the province of Quebec, where I have all of these different players that want to be a part of this? How badly was your phone blowing up and WhatsApp and all that kind of stuff about everybody that wanted to be a part of this on the field?
Yeah, so there's two parts to this. On the player perspective, you can imagine how many emails and texts that we got from players that are not from Quebec. Over 400 players easily that want to come and try out with our team. And then locally, we did open tryouts. We did 9 different locations of open local tryouts, and we generated over 340 players locally from these tryouts. And then on the coaching side, we have so many good coaches here in Quebec, and we did plenty of interviews. Even though we had a good idea of who we want to go with, we still saw a lot of different good, talented coaches that applied for the job, and we're grateful to know that we do have a lot of good soccer players and good coaches in this province.
I was going to ask, what has this discovery process been like for you? Did anything surprise you about the quality of the player, the personality of the Quebec soccer player, the quality of the Quebec coach? Was there anything that surprised you in this quest?
The only surprise that came in my mind was the willingness for a lot of these players that want to go to the next level. Because like I said, like I've been working in the amateur world for the last 13 years, and I've seen the talent. I've seen the talented coaches. I've seen the talented players. And Quebec has a certain spice, like we're, and of course I'm being biased because I'm from here, but we're, we play soccer. We don't kick and run. We play a nice brand. We're fearless. We take risks, and that's the Quebec way. It's always been that way in the amateur world of a semi-pro, let's say. But that was a surprise, was to see like how excited players were and coaches were that when they found out we were having CPL team in our province.
And when you have everyone that is of that same mindset, that same approach, the understanding, because I know it takes a very special individual to want to be a part of this, A, and understand the gravity of it, B, because you're representing your province, you're representing those closest to you, and it's about making that impression about Quebec as a province when it comes to playing and representing. There's a lot of different stuff here that comes into making those individuals the individuals for a first team, because you cannot do a first team a second time.
Yeah, no, you said it well. For us, it was, these players. I played pro soccer in here in Montreal, and I played in Italy for 8 years. And a pro soccer player, it's a job, right? So when you don't, everybody comes from different parts of the world. So at the end of the day, you finish your year, you finish your contract, you're off to the next team, right? That's how it is. Here, the vibe is different because they're all from here. So not only they're playing in front of their friends and family, they're playing in front of the kids of where they played when they were kids. So there's a sense of responsibility in all these players and even all these coaches to say, hey, we have to be role models for the future of this team, which are the ones that are watching us play today. So it's very hard to describe, but there's an emotional attachment, and it's a different breed because you're all from here. So when we lose, we're extremely depressed and pissed, but when we win, we're happy because we just won in front of our friends and in front of our family. Or when we lose, we just lost in front of our friends and our family, and now it's like, okay, the next one we got to get better, right? So it's a different vibe. It's a totally different vibe when all the players are from the same place.
Well, and because it's one of those things where you're looking at it, and as both a player and as a front office person, you know about pressure. There's good pressure, there's bad pressure, and then there's just flat out pressure.
Yeah.
How would you express what kind of pressure or self-expectation there is on the franchise and what you're trying to present?
Yeah. So on the business side of it, on the franchise, on the non-soccer related part, very challenging. Why? Because we're a new product. We're a startup company. So we got to get our name out there on who we are, why we're doing this. So that's something that we're going to be striving and working hard the whole year of 2026 to make people understand why you have to come watch games at our stadium. That's number one. Number two, on the sporting side, it's different because we know a lot of these players were amateur, right? So is someone going to pay a ticket to come watch an amateur player? And that's where the not the issue, but people are saying, well, I used to watch this guy playing semi-pro in Quebec. Why am I going to go pay $25 for a ticket? But the brand of what we're putting on the field is appealing. It's fun soccer. It's ball on the ground. It's possession. It's taking risks, going forward. And so for us, it's like, when we have a corner kick and we're sending our whole team up with no one staying back, it's a statement, right? So it's two different aspects on the business side and on the soccer side that have to eventually align. But I must say, we played our first game against Ottawa in front of 5,000 people, and we lost 1-0, which we definitely dominated the game. But the vibe of the crowd was, okay, what's going on here, right? And then we played our second game against Halifax, and it was the same night as the Montreal Canadiens. We had 3,000 people. We started 3,000 people, but it was electrifying. When we scored the second goal, it was special, like the vibe, and that's what people have to be connected to, is that local rooted team where I want to go watch the kid that played in that amateur club. So that's the mentality behind and the challenges we have behind the franchise.
So when you're out in the community,
yeah,
you're shopping. I mean, it's like, I've got to go and get some, I've got to go find a place that's got to give me some homemade pasta, and I've got to get my carb load and everything. Are you stopped in the streets? Are you wearing the Supra golf shirt and people sit there and go, hey, what's that? And then you explain things. What is the interaction with the community where you are?
So that's a fantastic question. Yes, like myself, I wear Supra everywhere I go. I already have the Supra tattoo on my arm. Like,
wow.
Yeah. So for us, it's like we have to show people who we are. And at the end of the day, Montreal has the Canadiens, they have the Alouettes football, they have the Montreal Roses soccer, they have the Laval Rockets hockey, they have the Montreal Victoire hockey girls team. So there's a lot of competition in our space, but it's about who we are. We're a team from Quebec, and that's what people have to start realizing, saying, oh my God, okay, this is a pro sport made by us. And that's the difference. And we're hoping that with time, that's gonna be catchy.
Yeah, and I mean, it is rouge, blanc, et bleu. I mean, I know how it's wired there. What has been the most pleasant thing about this experience for you so far?
It's a tough question because I'm sprinting and I'm not walking, so I don't have the time to process what's going on right now, because it came very fast. Like, we had less than 6 months to put a team together, which is insane, especially that's all local players.
Mm-hmm.
But I get the good vibes from my family, right? So like my wife and my kids, my in-laws, my parents, like they keep on telling me, Rocco, what you've built is very special, and it's us. It's who we are here in Quebec, and I'm starting to slowly process. When people say, oh my God, how did you figure out to field a soccer team all from Quebec? And when I walk into our facility, like we've built a facility for the boys with the dressing room, the admin office is here, the technical office is here, the gym, everything is in one-stop shop. They eat here. They could watch movies. They could play PS5. We have everything in one facility. It was all built in like 4 months. So when I see the players walk in and the coaching staff, and it's all guys that I know my whole life, that's what's special. What's special is that there's no unknowns here. We know each other internally, and it's very, very special. And that's, for me right now, what I take in is that everybody that works for this club is part of this community.
So have you always thought of yourself as a builder, or was this more of a vision quest for you? It's like, I have this grand idea that has to be pursued, or has that always been a part of your DNA to build things and then build things and then build things?
Yeah. So look, playing pro soccer for 12 years, you build a very strong backbone because there's a lot of good days and a lot of bad days. So being on my own at a very young age in Italy at 16 years old, trying to find myself as a person, and then going to war every day with players that are not from my country, right? So like I'm taking someone's spot. So just starting from a player perspective, I built a pretty strong backbone. And then in 2012, when I retired in 2011 and 2012, I retired from pro soccer and I took over a small amateur club in one of our communities here in Montreal. And I grew a small club from 600 players to 2,500 players. And then we had players like Moise Bombito and Ismael Kone that came out of our club. And this was for me, through the process of building this club, I kept on saying to myself, and thanks to COVID, I had a lot of time to process a lot of things in my brain because we're home. And that's where I said, I got to do better. And there's more out there. And it wasn't really for myself because I was good. Like, honestly, the last job I had a very good salary. I built something very powerful, very strong, community driven. And then I was like, it's not enough for the kids of our community. And so when I put something in my head, I'm very stubborn. And now now I'm a founder of a pro team. So it's just the beginning, to be honest. So I'm very happy.
What are the challenges that you keep running into? Because you had to assemble this on the fly. You got the okay, then you're building facilities, then you're getting players, then because you've got that deadline of day one, which in itself is another day one because the other deadline is the end of the season. So it's like, okay, I got my okay, I've got a deadline to have everything ready. And now that everything's ready, I've got other deadlines to make other things going down the line here with all these other deadlines. I mean, it seems like it is a never-ending process, but where are you in being satisfied with where things are?
Yeah, so like I said before, there's no walking, we're sprinting, right? Because there's always something to do. On a personal level, the ones that pay the price is my family because I'm never home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm building something, and my wife and kids and my whole immediate family understand that, and they're very supportive. So for me, on a personal level, that's my biggest challenge is not being present for my loved ones, but it's for a very valid, good reason. But also on the soccer part, right? It's like you can't make mistakes. Well, you could make mistakes, but you got to learn fast.
Yeah.
And you're running, so it's like you said, there's deadlines. Okay, well, I'll give you an example. We decided to play 3 home games in a row. I'm never doing that again because the preparation of a game day operation is very hectic and very challenging. So I'm overworking my staff. They're completely burned. But then I sway them to say, in a month from now, we have like a 2-3 week little break. So yeah, there's different challenges and mistakes that we do make, but we have to learn from them and just move forward. So right now it's like we're laser focused. We're going to storm through 2026, hopefully with good results, and then learn in 2027 to do things easier and better.
What are your on the field expectations this year?
Game by game. There's no expectations for us. The expectations for us is every game, one game at a time. And one thing we do know is that we could be competitive in this league. We've proven it in the first 3 games. But honestly, I'm not thinking playoffs, a championship, not playoffs, a Canada Cup. Like we're soaking in every single game, and whatever comes our way, we'll deal with it in good and in bad.
I know that in that office somewhere where you and I are, where you're sitting and I'm watching, there's got to be a to-do list somewhere. It could be on a Google Doc. It could be on, it could be on, loose leaf binder paper like we had when we were in high school. It could be a notebook like this. It could be legal pad where you've got like 19 different ones of these. Could be on one of those big old dry erase boards, that's like 6 feet by 8 feet, and it's got a bunch of different colors and columns and arrows and everything. Where is that to-do list? And I know that you're probably still adding to it, but I'm going to ask you, what is the next thing that you think that you can cross off of that to-do list is to continue going forward here in year 1 of this sprint that is really a marathon?
Yeah, and you named all the tools that we do use, by the way, all of those tools we use. So one thing that we could check off, and I'm very proud to say this, is on the sporting side. With our sporting director, our technical staff, our players, our physios, our doctors, it's a big green check mark. And doesn't matter about the results, has nothing to do with us winning 2 out of the first 3 games. It's just the professionalism that they brought to the table each and every day has been superb. So that's where the big green check mark is. And then the rest is work in progress, ticketing, communications, marketing, sponsorship, name it. That's the logistical part. The admin part is where each and every day is a crazy grind. But like I said, slowly we're chipping away, and we're starting to understand how things are. We're definitely going to use that whole budget of miscellaneous is definitely being used because there's so many unknowns and unforeseen costs. But it's a learning year for FC Supra. And one thing I got to say about my whole staff is that I have amazing soldiers. They're focused, and they understand why they're doing this, and that for myself is very appreciative.
So then when you, as the commander or the flag bearer, however you want to phrase it, when it comes to all of the soldiers there in the Super Battalion, when you have a question, who is on your speed dial that you can sit there and go, well, I've got a question about administration. I've got a question about logistics. I've got a question about ticketing. I've got a question about soccer. I've got like on the field question, coaching question, advice. Who are your bartenders in this situation where you can sit there and call them up and go, dude, I got a question, and they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to be there and answer right there for you? So
one thing that I'm very fortunate about, there's certain key players that wear different hats in this club. So when we talk about team, it's my coach, Nick Rizaghi. When we talk about sports operations, it's Matteo Cabinet. When we talk about community-driven activities, it's Paul Debaye. When we talk about ticketing, it's Tuan and this girl, Leonie. When we talk about marketing, it's this guy, Rob Rossi. When we talk about communications, it's Gene and Felipe. Like, no one never does not answer my phone call. When it's the team managers, Shadi or Franco, like, we have, and it's vice versa. Eh? Like, I'm very, very accessible as well. I answer my phone at any time in the day. So all the different hats that people are wearing, they're respecting their roles, and there's a great amount of respect between all of us. We do bicker at each other every single day, but it's for the good reasons. And at the end of the day, like I said, yes, I'm the leader of this club. I founded it and all that, but my ownership group gave me, like we say in French, carte blanche to work. And carte blanche doesn't mean to spend money, but it means to work a certain way. And like I said, it's everybody that's in this club is here for the right reasons, long hours, because we're brand new. Where it's like having a newborn, like you said it, right? A newborn, you got to nurture it the first couple months. You got to wake up every hour to feed it. It's not any different. It's not any different but we do it with pride because of what the project means.
So when you have time to yourself and you want to continue learning, what's the last book or podcast you listened to that you sat there and you went, ooh, I like that idea? And as you're learning as a founder and a guy that's wearing about 19 different hats, I guess, what's the most recent lesson you learned, and where did you learn it from?
Being patient, of course.
Mm-hmm. Did you learn that from the boss?
Yeah. So it's patience, I think, is something that's very needed in my role for sure, because I got to be patient on the field with my coaches to make sure they're doing their job properly. Everything to do on the admin side, giving my team the chance to express themselves when things are not going well. Patience on when ownership has tough questions for myself, and patience at home. Like, at the end of the day, I can't go home and let my stress out on my family. I do vent to my wife, which is the best thing in the world because she takes it. But patience, and I learned that from my parents. They did a good job on raising me in terms of being patient for things in life. And if I foresee like the future of CPL in general, my next objective, and I know we're already running here with Supra, is for the city of Quebec to have a CPL team. That's I think a huge objective that's already in the back of my mind. But because my mind is, like you said, it's always racing. So it's always about soccer thoughts, So what's the next big thing? And I think that's something that could be very important in the near far future for our province.
It's the Placentino MCO. I see how this is going. The multi-club ownership model with you. You've got the matchup coming up at Boreal on the 3rd, 3 o'clock Eastern time. What has study hall been like for the guys getting ready for the matchup against Cavalry?
Cavalry is a good team. Cavalry is a very good team. A lot of experience. We're definitely going to respect them when they come in this Sunday, just because of who they are as a club. I think they've done a fantastic job with Tommy, their coach, and the whole crew at Cavalry. I love what they're doing, and they're a good example for us in the league for sure to look over. But we're going to play the game. We're excited. The first home game in Laval. Like I said earlier, we're from Quebec, so there's definitely going to be we're going to be fearless. We're going to come to this game, and it could be we'll win 2-3-0, or it could be we lose 2-3-0. But we're definitely going to leave everything on the pitch, and we're very excited to have our first home game here at Stade Boreal.
I'm looking forward to it. 2-1 out of the blocks, right there, third in the table in the Canadian and in the CanPL. Rocco, I can't thank you enough because I know you're running 9,000 miles an hour, and like I said, it was something that we thought that people needed to know about and what's going on up there, following in the ways of Atleti in Spain. It is now happening with Supra there in the Quebec province. I can't thank you enough, my friend. Catch your breath and get properly hydrated, and we'll keep an eye on you. Thanks for dropping in.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Rocco Placentino, very, very cool stuff there to get the lowdown on their approach, expansion team, and they're like, you know what, we're just going to do it specifically with the Quebec players. And they're 2-1 out of the blocks. So good start for them in the Canadian Premier League, and so obviously we'll keep an eye on them and see how they're doing in their first year. And it is a sprint that is a marathon that has sprints in it. And literally, it's like you're doing shuttle runs, and you're going quickly from one end to the next to finish one race. You catch your breath, then you go another shuttle run, then you catch your breath. And so that might be today when they get, well, is it? No, because this is a match day -1. So maybe yesterday would have been where they cut their breath. So we'll see what it looks like with FC Supra and their approach, specifically Quebec players. So literally that is how they're wired. It's like, we're going to do it this way. And it's their way of saying that there are a lot of quality players here, and this is how we're going to do it. So that's a very, very cool stuff out of the CanPL with FC Supra out of Quebec. And I can't thank Rocco Placentino and everybody up there for hanging out with us and breaking it all down the way that they have been able to do so. And like I said, it's a very intriguing story. And so we were like, yeah, can we go ahead and can we talk about this since it's early in the year? And they're like, yeah. And you saw that Rocco basically, you had all this noise going on around him, and you heard all that noise that's going on. And he was trying to hydrate, because I heard the bottle cap from his bottle of water hit the floor at one point. And so he's trying to tell us what's going on, manage what's going on at the same time with all of the noise that's going on around him. Sounds like a first-year club. So very, very cool stuff. We get to keep an eye on the Canadian Premier League over at FS2. And I also subscribe to One Soccer because I'm insane, and it's an opportunity to catch up with our friend Christian Jack when we have the opportunity to. But you can watch a bunch of different things over at Fanati's, fntz.co/soccer down here. I won't tell you what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it yet because there's a lot going on. But what you can do is add to your streaming services and all the other things that you have that you can watch in South America. They have a lot of the A and B divisions from a lot of the different countries that are there. Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. You have BN, so you get all the BNs, which means you get French League, you get Turkish League, you get Polish League, you get Sudamericana, Libertadores. There was a really funky red card that happened last night in Libertadores. I know that shocks you, but you can add all of that at Fanatis. You get TVV out of Venezuela, CDO out of Chile. You get access to CATV matches, Tigo Sports. You get access to AFCON, Champions League, CAF, all the things with all the BNs that are there. TSA out of Argentina with all of their great coverage that goes on out of the LPF. You get the LPF matches to watch all the time. All of them are available to you. And you can get that at Fanatis at fntz.co/soccer down here. If you don't have the gear, you can get the gear. You can go to soccerdownhere.net. You can get the gear there. You can go to our friends at Grady Baby, grady-baby.com, because if you've seen the soccer is just better in Atlanta gear, the gold embossed lettering on either red or black. I have to get the black, and I end up wearing the red because it's more kind of garnety, especially if I put it in the washer. And the boss can't wear red because of her allegiance to her school. If we had it in blue and orange, she would wear it and I would not. You see how we're wired. The soccer is just better in Atlanta gear. You can get that at Grady Baby and grady-baby.com. And when you do, a portion of the proceeds helps out middle school soccer programs attached to the Atlanta public school system. So very, very cool stuff there that is attached to our friends at Grady Baby and gradybaby.com. You can go to Olive in York and you can get our Soccer for Good jersey that is there, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. And you can get that off and running. It's the old navy blue with the horizontal stripes, the white stripes. And you can get it either embossed as you wish or leave it alone. I think Abby has gotten both embossed and unembossed. So you can go, and once again, that helps out our Soccer for Good campaign here in 2026. Tonight, well, we're going to make it right. It is Georgia High School Soccer Playoffs on the SDH Network, 8 o'clock-ish. And I say 8 o'clock-ish because where we are going to be tonight at Lambert for the top-ranked team in the state in 6A on the boys' side, they're taking on Pebblebrook. And there are 2 lacrosse matches that are going on campus before our match at 8. So we're going to say 8. We're going to put it in quotation marks for 8 o'clock tonight. And it is going to be Lambert Longhorns, Pebblebrook Falcons. You can go to soccerdownhere.net. You hit the listen tab. You'll see which channels are up and running. See the big live thing flashing on and off. That's where you go, and you lay it all out for you. All right, so it is after 10 o'clock. And this is a first. So what this means is that an individual that we are bringing in here in short order is at the back of the diving board on the 10-meter, and she is literally running down the diving board. She's jumping off the 10-meter, and she is cannonballing into the morning show. That is literally what is happening here. So we bring in Lori Lindsey for her first SDH AM cap.
It's perfect. I was like, where is this analogy going? And it was amazing. So
I mean, it's Lori. This is a morning show, and it's all hands on deck on a Friday. It's just like whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we're going to go ahead and hit a cannonball into a can opener and completely destroy our back. Thank you for doing this. I know that you are one of the busiest people in the business, and trying to grab you is like trying to grab a comet by the tail or catch rain between your fingers. Where exactly are you right now?
I'm in Philadelphia. That's where I live. And also, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. No, it's this is a long time coming. I'm glad that we could sit there and blend everything together and let everybody know that that you are available for like, how long do we have you? Are you good for like a good time, or are you 15, 20 minutes, or do you have?
Oh yeah, that's perfect. 15, 20 minutes is excellent.
Because I was going to sit there and say you don't have to sprint to a plane or anything like that.
No. Actually, I have a home game in Philly. So, and randomly I don't have an NWSL game tonight on Friday. So I'm home for the entire week, which is, as you mentioned, most of us are quite busy. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I have some extra days at home, which is always welcome.
Okay, so we will discuss the home game coming up in a bit.
Okay.
Sometimes we have the younger folks that will watch these segments, and the young broadcasters that want to know about what's going on in the world. Do you know how many miles you logged last year?
No clue. Just not even. But it's, the one thing that I will say is within MLS, they do a good job of keeping us regionalized. So typically I'm with Chris Whittingham, who's the play-by-play that I work with. And we kind of cover, he's in Connecticut, based in Connecticut. So we're like New York, Philly, Boston, DC. That's kind of our main region. Every once in a while I go to Charlotte. Depending on where I've been with NWSL, I might be in Orlando, but for the most part, they do a good job. So even though we're traveling most weekends, I'd probably log more miles with NWSL than I do with MLS because it's not as regionalized.
So you're probably talking 2, maybe 3 matches a week max during your season?
Yes, I would say the typical rhythm is 2, and then if we have a midweek, or, just kind of a random Sunday. 2 is like Woody and I always talk about this all the time. 2 is like the sweet spot.
Mhm.
It's like you're in a good rhythm, you're preparing for a couple different games, you're bouncing around. It's like we all pretty much enjoy, not being on the go, I would say, but like, yeah, you're moving a little bit, and that gives you like the energy to be ready for those games.
And then when you get home, you absolutely, completely, and totally crash. And it's like, I'm not hitting it's like you hit your alarm like 9 times.
Totally.
When you have these 2 or 3 matches in a week, everybody stylistically is different, and I know that you and Woody share notes on this. How do you compartmentalize so you don't blend information? Like you're not bringing in NWSL facts if that's the second match of the week, that you're not bringing in something, about say, the purple team in Central Florida, talking about Marta while you're in an MLS game. How do you compartmentalize your prep?
Well, I think one thing is at this point in time, we know the teams. We know that we're covering very thoroughly. I know the NWSL. I played in the NWSL. So I don't think it's so much about blending, but also I like to think of it as like there's a lot of synergy, right? I'm learning from MLS all the time. I'm learning from NWSL. How do those two things relate? How do they not? What are the differences? So I wouldn't say there's a ton of blending, but also we don't have to memorize everything. Like I use an iPad, and then also like a document that I print out before games that has kind of like an ongoing general keys and the storylines and the playing styles, a little bit more tactical than that for myself in this document that I print out, but we don't have to memorize anything. So I'll speak with Whitty or whoever I'm working with prior to the game just to get it fresh in my head. And then I'll also go through all my notes. And then obviously before every game too, or maybe not obviously, but even if I know the team really well, I'll go through pronunciations with my play-by-play, make sure we're on the same page. So I say all of that because blending is not an issue with the leagues that I cover, in the sense that, again, I'm not memorizing. I have the stuff here. I get it fresh in my head. I would say when I work World Cups or Olympics or Euros, that is where, when you have all these different players from different clubs and they're in with their national team, is when you just really have to hone in on the information. And my key to that is just working my furthest match first, and then bringing it all the way to the first match. And then that's the last one I'll do, because then it'll be fresh, but then I'll still have those notes as I prepare more specifically for that last match.
Okay, before we get out of here, I do need your best Jess Sharman story, because she's one of our OGs.
Oh, I love Jess. Yes.
And so I need your best Jess Sharman story at the end. That'll be the coda. But I just, it's just like, oh yeah, she's with Jess, and so Jess, that's at the coda. All right, so you've got Nashville and Philly.
Yep.
I'm gonna phrase it this way, and I mean it in the most genuine way possible, because we do have Philly fans that are a part of our audience. What in the wide world of sports is going on in Philly?
Yeah, I think. Listen, when you look at the team and you lose, and this has been talked about already, like I covered them the first 4 weekends as well. So, and even though I'm, partial across the, like I don't have any sort of favorites. I am.
You love all of your children equally, Lori. Yeah.
Yes, I do. I am partial to Philly because I live here and I enjoy them. But listen, I think in sport, when you realize that you lose specific players and players that have a ton of experience in Major League Soccer on each line, Kai Wagner, Glesnes on the back line, Baribo on the front line, Quinn Sullivan, who was a massive piece before he got injured late last season. That's 4 players that were huge contributors on each line, but also when you think of Baribo and Kai Wagner and even Quinn Sullivan, contributors in the attack, where is the biggest struggle right now, just in terms of scoring goals. And so I don't think that can be overstated when those players also have a lot of experience, and the age that they're in too was just valuable. Even if you're not playing in MLS, you just have experience of being a professional. Now you have Philadelphia. It's the youngest team that the Union have ever had. And I think, that takes a toll. Plus, I've been in these situations as a player. You start losing a few games. There's high expectations from the season before, and it becomes more of an emotional thing than it does actual, like, what is happening on the emotional and mental aspect than it does what's actually happening on the field in terms of tactics and like physicality. So I think that combination of all of that is the issue, right? There's probably low confidence. There's also, I'm sure, belief there, but also in the specific moments, instead of things going your way, they're actually bouncing against you. And sometimes it's just like, goodness gracious, is this ever going to get better, until you need like one or two things in a row to go, actually 2 or 3 things to go your way in a row to start to change things around.
And I know that it's past the goodness gracious stage. Look, we have zero qualms about E-ratings or anything like that. Like I said, we're a morning show, and I have a golden retriever brain, so anything is possible.
Yeah, fair.
Nashville. And the funky thing about Nashville is you look at all that star power up top, and we've seen it here in Atlanta, but the defense that BJ Callahan has brought forward it's crazy good. And it's like you're focused on all the shiny objects, but the back line and what's going on between the sticks has been strong, and people sit there and it's almost an afterthought, sadly.
Yeah, it really is. But I think this has been building. I mean, this is a team that was really quality under BJ Callahan last year as well. And I think now another full season with their identity. But yeah, I think you look at Andy Nahar too, the way that he's patrolling that right side, just gets up and down. I mean, they have, even though the structure is 4-4-2, they're just committed. They're committed on both sides of the ball. I was watching their game against Tigres, which was unfortunate for them to not at least get a point at home. But I've liked this. I've liked this team, and they seem energized. They have a good mix of, again, what I was mentioning about Philly is just you have experienced players that have been either with Nashville or seasoned veterans that have played professionally, and star players, right? That are Sturridge with, I think, what is it, 9 goals now? Mm-hmm. I'll finish up the prep.
37 goals he's got.
Yes, it's exceptional, right? Mukhtar, we all know about, and so it's a really good mix of that, like workers, veteran players, experienced players. Espinosa has been great, and then extra quality that you need to be able to win. I think this game specifically, though, is going to be interesting to see how much they rotate, if they do at all. Just knowing that they're going to Tigres next week, so. It should be. It's going to be an interesting one, because if Philly feels like there's a game that they can take, I would imagine it's this one, because no one's betting on them, right? First versus 15th. So.
Well, it was wild. We were looking at the juice boxes, as we call them, in hour number 1, and Philly's favored in this.
Yeah.
Because of obviously what happened in the midweek and what you're going to do, no surge and all that. That was wild that Philly's favored in this one. I was kind of taken aback by that.
Yeah, that is actually interesting to be favored. I would say I don't disagree with the aspect of, if there's a game to play free, knowing that, like, hey, listen, if there's a game to win, now it's that, right? Coming off the Tigres loss, they have a quick turnaround. Potentially this would be a game that Nashville would be disappointed if they lost, but it would also feel like, okay, if we lost it, it's what it is, right? So
it's just kind of like, no, we got something important we got to hang on to down here. Exactly. And with Espinosa coming in, Hani doesn't have to be the guy, capital T, capital G, anymore. He can be a guy, and he can be just as frustrating. He used to be the lurker at the edge of the high line, and he would, get all the poaching stuff, but now he gets to be more of a point guard and available for that 3 whenever you need him. It's not just him anymore. He's got these supporting pieces, and he can kind of lay back and conserve energy and be ready when he needs to be now.
Yeah, it's a great point, because he does like to drift too, and that's when he's his best. Like, he'll peel wide, he'll get into those areas just to see if he can draw out defenders, but also just to pick up the ball in different areas. So yeah, you can just tell he's playing with a little bit more freedom as well. And I think because he can still be the main guy when he wants to, but it doesn't have to be every single game where they're relying on him. And then obviously if you have Sturridge, who's in the form that he's in, just getting into the box and being like a real target forward, I think that suits this team really well, because then you get Espinoza and Hani just, drifting around, being able to do what they want to do and play make, essentially.
All that positional gravity that we talk about sometimes. The lineup in the midweek was Schwacke, Reed Baker-Whiting, Waleji, Palacios, Nahar, I'm reading off a SofaScore. They're calling it a 4-4-2, so I'll read it as such.
Yeah.
Espinoza, Yazbek, Eddie Tagset, Alex Muil, and then Madrigal and Hani Mukhtar up top. Obviously, they sat Sam Surridge, and they bring in Corcoran, Kassem, Dan Lovitz, and Passius. And they, like I said, they sat some names. So there's some opportunity here to get those guys that were on the bench in the midweek some reps to get them ready, because you don't know if you're going to be needed in this second leg to get you closer to a CONCACAF final, which is wild to say when you're saying Nashville in a CONCACAF final.
I know. And LAFC getting their win too. They end up winning. So yeah, it's, it'd be fascinating if it's all MLS, if Nashville can go to Tigres and win, right? And it's all MLS final. But yeah, I would imagine we're talking to BJ later today, but I would imagine there's going to be some rotation. You just have to, right? When there's this point in time, it's still early in the season, but if you're going to really hedge your bets on going down to Tigres and getting the result and winning, you got to do some sort of rotation. But it's deep enough, right? Mm-hmm. Deep enough team. So
we were leading off, and I want to go away from your game for a second before I get your Jess Charman story before you get to go to BJ. We led off this morning with what's going on in Vancouver, and I can't let it pass without all of the discussion that's going on. You had a group come forward and go like, and we're going to put a formal bid together. We're thinking of moving them to Vegas. What is your if you want to volunteer an opinion about the idea of a sale and a reload, you can, but just about Vancouver as a franchise and part of Major League Soccer, what do you think about the situation in general?
It's a bummer, right? Because I think when you look at how good they are, and what are they, second right now behind San Jose, which is like, go on, Bruce, and here's that's amazing. Mm-hmm. I think he's still shocked from some of his press conferences, and but yeah, I think when you look at their team, at BMO Stadium, I played there, the fans that come out, you're just really BMO. Did I say that right? No, it's
BC Place.
Yeah, BC Place. Thank you. I was like, that's LA. And I played in BC Place a number of times, and the fans show out. So I really hope for Vancouver that there is some sort of investor owner that's able to, or ownership group that's able to come forward.
Yes, we agree. All right.
Yes.
They need a bigger barn. They need more control of the barn, those kinds of newer revenue streams and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
With the time that you spent wearing the stars and stripes, do you have your framed jersey? Do you have a framed jersey from folks? Do you believe in the framing of jerseys? Where are your jerseys? Where are they hanging in the palatial estate of Lori Lindsey?
Yes. Okay. Love this question. And actually I have a number. So 3 years ago, I did about 4 years ago now, I did a huge renovation to my house. And that has been the last thing that's come to play, which is getting some jerseys framed. So I actually have a pile of art and jerseys because I have a room upstairs that I've used as like kind of an art room, but also whenever during the pandemic, when it became a little bit, I wouldn't say popular, but it was a thing to be able to call games out of your house. I use the art studio upstairs. So I'm in the process of doing all that, but I will have one of my jerseys. I actually have one of my best friends, Megan Rapinoe, the U.S. Women's National Team, one of the She Believes, what year would that have been? I'm not going to get the year right, but they all wore on the back of their jerseys, a famous person. Yes, right. And Megan had Audre Lorde on the back. So I have that one to be framed, which is really special. So yes, all of those actually today or Sunday will be going to the frame shop to be put in frames.
Okay.
So
Yeah, just comparing notes about studio space. All right. So before you
Yeah.
get out of here, I
yours
did.
is good too. I like all the scars. I have a gazillion scars. So
Well, just full disclosure. All right. So the boss had to reinforce. See, I'm left-handed. All right. So the boss had to reinforce the curtain rod back here.
yeah.
Because I put too many winter scarves up, and so she had to double reinforce this.
Okay.
And I've got about 450 hats because I go
Yes.
cover an event. And I'm a hat and a t-shirt guy. And so she's like, well, do we put like a nail in the wall for each? And she's like, that might get a little messy. So we got our handyman to come in and install a train track about a foot down from the ceiling. And so that's where I can pyramid about 275 at any time, and I can swap them out. And you'll also notice that like here, you'll see like L joints.
Yeah.
After 13 years, the thing finally fell down, and we had to have our handyman come in and reinforce it with L joints. And so that was part of it. And by the way, Pier 1 Imports, the triple rack towel holders. That's what we've got here. So go to Pier 1, and they have like the 3-level towel racks. And
Okay, 2 questions. Where are you located?
Atlanta.
Okay, because Pier 1 Imports I haven't heard in so long, and I'm from Indiana originally, but that was like a main.
Well, I'm 700 years old, Lori. So I mean that's kind of.
I'm not far behind you, but I love this setup. This is fantastic.
I mean, I have some things that I have to get framed. I've got a Michael Parkhurst, Rhode Island C that he autographed. I got to get that in here. Let's see. So this is the quarterback for SMU for the Pony Express. He was the guy that handed off to Eric Dickerson and Craig James.
Wait, I know Eric Dickerson. He used to be an Indianapolis Colt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So his quarterback at SMU, Lance McElhenney.
Yeah.
Pony Express. So that's that one. That's a photograph that Dom DeSaya took of Vin Scully in his last year as a play-by-play for the Dodgers. Cool. And then I've got like other jerseys and things framed over there with the big 55 that I can't show because we get in trouble with TV people. Okay. Now I need your Jess Charman story. I texted her before you came in this morning, and I warned her that you were coming in at 10. So I imagine she's probably going to catch up with you the next time you guys do your show and go, yeah, I heard about this. All right. What's your best Jess Charman story that you can say on the air, or that you can say that we'll have to bleep later?
Okay. No, nothing is going to be bad or that you're going to have to bleep out. But first of all, I love Jess, and we do our Sirius XM show every Monday together. So it's been a blast, and we've actually had a few games this season together too. And only one last year when she was first starting and getting involved in Apple TV with MLS. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she's fabulous. Okay, so we do this Guess Who game at the end of our Sirius XM show, where it's like we have 10 questions. So we each go back every other week. We'll switch. So 10 questions to be able to guess the player that the other has come up with. And typically, because it's a women's soccer show, it is more geared towards NWSL or American players, but we do overseas as well. So 10 questions. But this isn't a great story, but it just makes me laugh every time, because I would say, she's going to push back on this, that I am like killing her this season in terms of winning these Guess Who games, because geographically, Jess is not the best. She's like, has to mute herself and then ask our producer, wait, is this city actually the West Coast or Midwest or the East Coast? Because she's like, this country is way too big. Still learning my geography. So I try to make it as most obscure as possible about who I'm coming up with, so just to throw her off geographically. So.
Nice. That is awesome. And I can't wait to see her in her Hall of Fame blazer from Clayton State University.
Yes. I was just seeing her post something on that. So yeah, very cool for her.
So you've got Nashville and Philly this weekend. You and Chris Whittingham and the dynamic duo there at Chester. 7:40 kick, 7:30 pregame on Saturday on the Apples and Apple TV and Major League Soccer. You survived you got your first cap here on SDH AM, Lori.
Yes, thank you. Please have me back.
Absolutely. So now that you know where the garage door opener is, and you know where the key is under the mat. Friday we usually have a day of chaos anyway. And,
Okay.
and honestly, if you're sitting in an airport, you're bored out of your mind. Devin Kerr will jump in from practice fields and airports and things. And
Amazing. Love Devin too.
so literally, if there's ever anything you want to vent your spleen on, just literally shoot me a text or an email and go, yo, Nelson, I need to come in. I need to get something off my chest. It's open air, and it's what we're here for. So go get brunch and hydrated and go get your workout in and have a great call with Chris, and we'll catch up with you soon, my friend. Great to see you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hopefully this is the first of many.
First
Appreciate you.
many caps. We'll start
Yes.
looking the stars on the jerseys. Be good, Lori. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, there goes Lori Lindsey. See? Lori Lindsey comes in. We get to add Lori to the stacks. That's very, very cool. Jon Still, play-by-play voice of CF Montreal, coming up in about 5 minutes. So that was something that we tried to have for a long time. We tried to have Lori come on for a long time, and now that we've had Lori on, here we go. So Lori knows, and so now she knows what's going on, and she knows that we can kind of knock on her door at any time. All right, really quickly before we get into CF Montreal and opposition research. John Texter, I know we talk about John Texter a lot. We need to, because it's important to the economics of sport. Numbers have come out. Paul Quinn, if you haven't gotten Paul Quinn on his Substack, or go to theesk.org. It's where he does a lot of his great work when it comes to numbers analysis and such. So 201 million euro net loss for Eagle football in their financial holdings for the fiscal year ending last year. Staff cost to revenue ratio at Lyon, 109%. Meaning personnel costs alone exceeded operating revenue before a single other bill was paid. You're 9% in the hole, and you haven't even discussed anything else that's going on. You're paying people to work for you. It's more than the money you're bringing in by 9%. You haven't paid another bill. So you've got that. EBITDA negative at 47.7 million euro, a collapse of 91.9 million euro from the prior year. Document was not signed by Texter. It was signed by Michelle Kang, who assumed the role of chairwoman and CEO. And so basically it was signed the very last day of the financial year before it was reported. So that shows you literally what they were trying to do and figure out all their numbers at the bitter end when they were trying to get rid of John Texter and come back in and have Aries/Michelle Kang take over the financials of Eagle football and what was going on at Lyon and subsequently Botafogo. So the Botafogo thread is worse. Eagle is carrying a 124.2 million euro in receivables from Botafogo. The document acknowledges that no impairment has been recognized on the receivables based on the commitments from Eagle Bidco to either take over the debt or find an alternative solution. And so the accounting and feasibility studies are still ongoing. That's how messed up this is. A lot of money that's in play that is owed to folks, and there's no real way to figure out where it can be collected. Then on the Botafogo side, Globo, who we've been paying attention to a lot, and we've almost bookmarked them. Globo Esporte reported back in February. Remember the conversation we had about GDA Luma? They loaned Botafogo the $23 million that was supposed to be a part of paying down the what they owe Atlanta United and AMBSC on Thiago Almada. Got loaned 22.8. Provision for liquidity is a last resort. And we also know that interest rates that are attached to those kinds of things are big. Part of that loan went to Atlanta United to clear the transfer ban. I think it was 10. Botafogo has since, and we talked about this when it happened last week, they're now back on the banned list for transfers because of non-payment of a transfer fee of about $1 million owed to Ludogorets. Subsequent payments to Atlanta United have not been made. GDA Luma is also one of the companies angling to take control of Botafogo amid Texter's removal. Loan structure obviously is aggressive because of what the contract calls, quote, an uncured event of default. The debt reportedly goes from $25 million to at least $55 million, growing at a monthly interest rate of 20%. This is like, I mean, literally, this is like going down to the corner and giving the title away on your car equivalency, but with a bunch of other zeros after it. It's like getting that bridge payday loan so you can pay bills. And then obviously the folks that you're getting that bridge payday loan to and signing your life away, they get that significant portion of it. Monthly interest rate of 20% with GDA Luma. They've also registered as an interested party in the judicial reorganization process. They are either GDA Luma is either second in line or third in line, depending on which category you're talking about. And so the entire player roster was listed as collateral in the original loan agreement. Collateral. And they're trying to send players to other locations. Teams are interested, 7 figures to the left of the decimal place. But you're looking at right now a situation at Botafogo where you are, if you are Eagle or Botafogo SAF, you are in serious trouble financially. And you've taken out a bunch of these loans, and it is an issue where the interest rate on the loans that you have pulled out, if you are John Texter / Eagle Football, literally it is from 25 million to 55 when you defaulted. That is insane. So that is where we are with John Texter and Eagle Football Holdings. All right. For the second time in an hour, and the second time, actually on the third time on this show, the second time this hour, we bring in someone who is getting their first SDH AM cap. And it's time to do opposition research and get ready for CF Montreal. And my friend John Arnold refers to it as Tokayo, namesake. We bring in Jon Still. Oh, and I love the lid. That is fantastic, John. I love that. That is great. So Jon Still. Can't hear you. So let's check the audio real quick. There it is. All right.
There we go.
There it is. I love that lid, John. That is fantastic. The Expos lid, that is amazing.
I hope there's no Braves fans who are upset by this hat.
No.
Anyway, because for what reason?
No. I have point of trivia. I have in my collection of stuff, capital C, capital S, I have outfield tickets to the last ever home game that the Expos had at the Big O.
Wow.
I couldn't resist that. And from all the time that I'd covered stuff locally in Atlanta and CBS and everything, it was like you knew when the date was. And so I ended up getting like a row of seats in the outfield at the Big O. And it was one of the places when I went to go catch up with Michael Barrett, who I'd known since high school, and I'd covered him since. I guess this is story time with John. I forgot the lower third. One of the few places that I've ever seen people smoking in the concourse indoors at a dome was at the Big O.
Yeah, we love our cigarettes here. There's no doubt about that. And I think Michael Barrett was just up here for Expos Fest just over the weekend or something like that. So he's still got the ties to the city, but yeah. There is, there's a Quebec cocktail, they call it, and it's so your favorite alcoholic beverage and a cigarette, as we say over here.
That's very cool. John is play-by-play voice for CF Montreal. We have brought him in for opposition research as they get ready to take on Atlanta United this weekend. I guess we can take it in two separate stages. When Marco Donadel was sent packing, what was it like watching this team on a weekly basis with him in charge? I think it was only 7 wins in 36, but this season specifically, what was it like to see CF Montreal out there on the pitch with what they were trying to accomplish under Marco Donadel?
I mean, I feel bad constantly doing this because it does feel like I have like a personal vendetta against Marco Donadel or something like that. But, it was just unfeasible. It's something unwatchable. You could just tell that it was never going to work. Just speaking to a lot of managers and coaches around the league, every time that there was a preparation for CF Montreal, they would talk about how unique the system was that they're playing. And look, you can be unique and you can be cute and you could be forward thinking, a really talented player. The reality is that Montreal has spent compared to the other teams over the last years. Very little money. Playing a man-to-man system that, some people have since the 80s. So it wasn't feasible. It didn't make sense talking to players before who were playing for the team or who had moved on. It just was never going to work. And look, they made a mistake hiring him. There's no doubt about that. They only won 2 games at home all last season, and he took over in March. So it's not like this guy didn't have a long track record for them to make their assessment of him. But the problem is that it feels like they are so paralyzed, or they were so paralyzed by their former perceived inability to give coaches any kind of time. And so they thought, here's a guy for the club. He's got connected with the owner. Let's give it with a good roster. They upgraded the roster in certain spots, but he was never going to be a guy. It just couldn't happen. And so, look, I know that CF Montreal could be the butt of jokes at the best times for obvious reasons, but I think they definitely made the right decision. And I was saying that, I've been saying this since essentially October, that with Marco Donadel. And so 7 games into the season, move on and bring this guy in, Philippe Lafroy, I think was the right move. And clearly it's borne some relief.
What is the difference with Philippe in that? Because you're getting results. You got a result that I was going to talk about from last weekend. But what is the difference in presentation on the field and off now?
Well, they've been playing much more of a low block. But I think it's more so just, it's such a tired trope in all of sports, but they're just getting kind of the dead cat bounce right now with the new manager. I do think that Philippe is much more clear. Marco, it sounded like he was very convoluted with what he's asking the players to do, but they seem much more organized defensively. They clearly want the opponent to have the ball more so than they will have it, even when they're at home. But they figured out these ways to counterattack. They've, Prince Owusu's been far better. It's Marco Donadel's gone in terms of hold up and build up play. And so it seems pretty, but they just look much more organized. They look much more together. I think Philippe Lafroy doesn't really want them to play this low block. I think it's just that he said last week that he's only gotten maybe 20 to 25% of what he wants to actually get done tactically into the team at the moment, as he continues to try and build this up kind of week after week after week. But they just look like a cohesive unit. It's not like they're changing the world. They've reverted from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-3-3, so they have an extra player in midfield. But I don't think Philippe Lafroy is reinventing the wheel. I think he's just invented the old wheel more so than anything. Well, Marco Donadel was trying to do all this kind of crazy exotic stuff.
He went back to the showroom and saw, it's like, no, I'm good with the Honda. I don't need to, I don't need the expensive car. Just give me the Honda. We'll turn it over. The Civic will give me good miles and good gas mileage. And
that's right.
So then when you have a 4-3-3 like this and you want the other guy to have the ball, obviously that puts, I would imagine, a lot of pressure on that back four. Last time out against NYC, it was Petrasso, Vera, Jaden Neal, and Bugai. How, and someone drifting in to be a 6 or a pseudo 6, depending on possession. When you look at that back four in whatever starting version it is, I would imagine it puts a lot of pressure on them, especially late in matches. What's the constitution like in trying to persevere in something like that? How are they handling it so far?
Well, Petrasso and Bugai have been excellent. I think they're, I don't know about above average MLS starters, but they've been pretty damn good. They have a lot of pace. I think that what's been the surprising is Vera coming over Real Salt Lake. I did not expect a whole heck of a lot. I mean, if you look at this guy, it's not to say that I was watching Real Salt Lake week after week, but if you check him out on YouTube, this is a guy who can somehow bang in free kicks from about 30, 35 yards out. And so I thought, oh, this guy's going to be playing more as a left back. It's very difficult spot, very difficult moments early on, but he's really settled in. And I think not the big change, but what I'm very curious to see is Efrain Morales. I mean, who you guys would know very, very well.
Yep.
I thought he was excellent under Marco Donadel because he's kind of this towering, no nonsense, he could bully guys off the ball kind of defender. And I think they've been lucky in the fact that they played the Red Bulls and NYCFC in back-to-back weeks, and that there's not really that big danger man. There's no Benteke to use, just a very tired trope. There's no one really to have to build to deal with in the air. And so Jalen Neal's been able to get away with it. Jalen Neal is a very good defender. Just one on CF Montreal. He's very young and he's got a lot to learn, but he's looked good under Philippe Lafoy. So I'm really curious to see if we can get someone like Emmanuel Latelat or, Lobjanitsa or whoever it is, how different that's going to be, because the way they were able to shut down NYCFC, who almost essentially don't play with a recognized 9, was pretty impressive. But at the same time, I think that plays into their hands of what they want to be. I think if you have Jalen Neal and Brian Vera up there, I think the way to kind of break down is obviously crosses in the box as possible, because Neal's 6'2", but let's just say he's 6'2", but he's, like a shoestring. And Vera's just about 5'10", is not really that guy to be up in the air winning balls. And so that feels like, especially the deeper and deeper they drop, if you were, Atlanta and you're trying to get a victory here, I think that'd be the way that you want to try and attack this back four.
Jon Still, play-by-play of CF Montreal, hanging out with us for Oppo Research on a Friday. What has someone like Matty Longstaff brought to the table?
Well, a very interesting accent, at least. No. I really like Matty. He's a funny guy. I actually just ran into him. He's a big guy. So there was a playoff hockey game here. Hockey guy just happened to run into me, and he came onto the radio show for a little bit. He's just tidy. He's just tidy. There's really a lot of flash. He's able to do those little kind of metronome moves in the middle of the park to just kind of pass it to whoever's in his immediate vicinity. He doesn't overthink things. And so, early on with Marco Donadel, I think the fact that it was him and Lattori who were a midfield two, and they don't really have that big time athleticism. Lattori can run for days, but again, he's kind of like a water bug out there more so than anything. So he could get dominated in the middle of the pitch. I just don't think it played to his strengths, and he's been under some criticism for CF Montreal fans because he's not necessarily that technically adept, springing guys forward or anything like that. It's really what Montreal are dying out for. I mean, we don't know if Frankie Amaya is going to be ready to go this weekend, who they brought over on loan from Deportivo Toluca. He seems to be that kind of guy who can play the ball forward, the danger man up front. But yeah, I say Matty Longstaff, he's valuable in what he's been able to do. I think he's some undue criticism here in Montreal, and just being able to keep the ball and not turn it over. He's not going to be someone who's going to be a midfield 6 who's going to destroy people, who's going to clear people out. But he makes sure that he makes sure you get the ball to someone who's going to play the final ball. And Montreal, they're an incomplete team. They need that guy to be able to break teams down. But I do think there's a place for Matty Longstaff in the starting 11.
When it comes to another shiny object like Prince Owusu up top, I know that he instantly gets doubled, or at least gets the consideration of being doubled, because he is that power forward that you're looking for. He's a redwood that is out there that you've got to try and stop. So what has made him successful? Is it fear by defenders, and what has made him clamp down upon offensively? I guess the yin and yang of Prince Owusu. What has stopped him, and what has he been able to create because of positional gravity?
I think it's very simple. I think when he trusts his teammates, he's very good. I think when he tries to be both creator and finisher, I think he gets into trouble. So maybe that 1 or 2 extra touches, because he's never felt more confident in his life. I mean, this is a guy, when he was at Toronto FC, the whole moniker around him was, well, he does everything but score. And if you're a striker, everything but score is essentially a very back-ended compliment that you don't really want if you're that kind of guy. But it's because he's physically dominant. He can win balls in the air. He's got a great first touch. He's, in terms of being a leader for the team, he really is, to me, the unquestioned leader of CF Montreal. He's a very, on the pitch, he's, very intense. He's got kind of those crazy eyes if his teammates don't give him the ball where he wants it. But off the pitch, he's kind of just like, he's that organizer. He's the guy who's trying to lift people. and that's very rare from a striker that he's trying to be kind of the guy who unites the team. But all in all, I think that's really it, is that if he doesn't try and do too much, if he doesn't take that one or two extra touches, if he doesn't hold up the ball and doesn't give it to a Longstaff or a Latourie, but he's trying to turn and send someone like a Jaime or a Sinchuk or whoever it is down the flanks, that's where I think he gets into trouble and he coughs the ball up in the middle of the pitch. He's been much better in the air since Philippe Lafroy took over. He's been much more of really an outlet than necessarily he was under Marco Donadel. He really started to look like a very frustrated figure in the waning days of Donadel. But he's been banging in goals, man, just banging in the goals at a rate that I don't think CF Montreal fans would have ever expected. I mean, it's not exactly it's not exactly unbelievable history for CF Montreal when it comes to strikers, because they don't necessarily stay very long, but already he's got 22 goals to his in his career in just 2 seasons. I mean, that's already into third all time for CF Montreal. He just passed Didier Drogba maybe about 2 weeks ago, even though Drogba was here for like 9 months, because he's an absolutely insane player. But the Prince Owusu experiment has worked out very nicely, and if he just does the base level things, he's usually able to be that guy who can either win the ball in the air, or he just has that knack that all the best goal scorers have, to play off the shoulder of the last defender, use his strength, and make it very difficult for the back line.
Yeah, I think the goal against NYC is part and parcel to that. Like, if you're looking for a Prince Owusu 101, where you've got defenders bracketing, and he is the one that splits them and gets the leg there first and puts it in the net, I think that would be the microcosm highlight of when Prince Owusu is successful. That's what you're looking for, and that's what Udefla is looking for as well. We've been talking shiny objects. In this matchup against Atlanta United, with an anticipated starting 11 in your head, give me one of those second-level dudes. Give me somebody that, isn't a shiny object, that might be what we think of as like a foot soldier, or someone that just comes in there and does their job, that if CF Montreal is successful, this player X that we have not talked about so far is part of that success. Who would that individual or individuals be in your mind?
I think it has to be Sam Piet. I know he's the captain, but he's the captain in theory now, because he hasn't played a whole heck of a lot this year.
Right.
But in that first game back against the Red Bulls, might have been the best game I've seen him play in 2 years. He was just very physical, no nonsense. His whole knock is that he can't play pass forward. His whole thing is he's got to play the ball back, or he's got to play it, horizontally to someone. But when he's just asked to do the very bare minimum of what a number 6, a midfield destroyer, is supposed to do, he's very good at it. Now, I don't know fitness-wise. He looked like he was really struggling last week against NYCFC, so I don't really know how that's going to go for him. But yeah, Sam Piet, especially what I think is going to be a game where they're going to suffer a lot in Atlanta, where it's going to be, again, them not having a lot of the ball and kind of that build up wanting to be played in the middle of the park. I think that if they're able to break up those attacks, let's say 5-6 yards away from where their back line is actually stationed, and Sam Piet can kind of get that, he can make that win that first ball, and then the counterattack can be released. I think that kind of changes everything for Montreal, because they don't have anyone like that. There's nobody else on the roster who really fits that mold for them. So, if I think defensively it's Sam Piet, offensively, I mean, Wiki Carmona was great in the early going under Marco Donadel, but at the same time, that was playing as a number 10. He's never really worked out, in my opinion, when he was with the Red Bulls playing on the flanks. But before he got injured, he was in the form of his life. And so Noah Streit did not look particularly great against NYCFC after probably his best game in the CF Montreal shirt against the Red Bulls. So if it's defensively and being able to win the ball in the middle of the park, it's definitely Sam Piet. And I think Carmona will probably come on as a sub, but considering he's at the height of his confidence right now, that would be the guy that I'd be worried about if I were Atlanta. How's
Game 6 going to go tonight?
Pardon, sorry?
How's Game 6 going to go tonight?
Oh, geez. It's the 21,000 strong question this evening. I always had the Canadiens in 7. I think that I think that this is a very young team. I think that you got to learn how to close out an old veteran team like the Lightning. And I think that the moment's going to be a little bit much for them tonight against Tampa Bay. So I always fans will be disappointed. I'm going to be by the arena in my show from 6 o'clock. So there's going to be a lot of bleu, blanc, et rouge out there for Montreal fans to kind of hop upon. But I think they'll lose tonight, but I think they'll take it in Game 7 because I just don't think Tampa Bay are going to go down and fight.
Any clue who's going to be bringing in the torch tonight? Because it's been Yvan Cournoyer.
Oh man, if I said 21,000 strong question, that's the I don't know how many people live in this province, but everybody in the province is talking about who's going to do that. So they had Yvan Cournoyer in Game 1, Serge Savard in Game 2. I'd love for it to be Larry Robinson. He lives in Florida. He was at a couple of the games when he was in Tampa. I'd love for it to be Larry Robinson. My co-host on the radio believes that they're doing it by captain. So they had Cournoyer first, then they had Savard, Bob Gainey. Some people want Carey Price. I'm going to stick with Larry Robinson, though, because I just think it'd be great to see the big bird out there upsetting all the people of Florida while bringing out the torch.
Oh, that would be amazing. I've introduced the boss, pictured here. I've introduced her when we started dating, and she really wasn't a hockey person. I said, well, tell you what, I am, but I'm only going to introduce the sport to you starting with the Stanley Cup playoffs. And so she got hooked. She's in. So literally we'll be watching in the den in the main level. We'll be watching playoff hockey. And so I know the get-in price for Game 1 was, I think, $450. And that was about normal for me. Any clue what the get-in price is tonight?
Got to be at least 1,000 for tonight. I mean, there's no. I just got a text from a buddy of mine who was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Like, I don't have a job when about getting into the game tonight. So that he'd be a good person to ask. But I think I heard for game number 4 that I heard of was about $700. And so now, if you're going into this game, I mean, this is the hottest ticket in town for a very, very long time. This is Paul McCartney coming in for the final concert kind of thing for every time the Habs are in an elimination game. So I'd say a cool $1,000 per ticket would probably be in there, and that's just the madness of Montreal Canadiens fan mania in this province. As people just lose their damn minds. I would never pay that. That's crazy to me. But I know there's going to be a whole heck of a lot of people who are going to be paying that and way more to be at the game tonight.
So if you would please, sir, please cut the promo on CF Montreal and how folks can listen to you 24/7, 365 or 30/8/370 when it comes to everything going on up there. Cut the promo for me, sir.
Yeah, I'll do my best Macho Man Randy Savage here. I don't know if I can get the rasp going that good. No, you can follow me on Twitter at I'm Still Jon with just no H, just like you, John. Thank God, no H's for the Johns here. You can follow me on Twitter at I'm Still Jon. You can follow me on obviously on TX90 in Montreal, and I call some games for TSN on TV up here as well from time. TSN essentially being like for people who don't know, the ESPN of Canada. And so that's where you can check me out. I call a couple of men's national team games as well, hoping to call that game Ireland here in Montreal with some Irish heritage of my own. That would be pretty beautiful. But that's where you can catch my stuff and doing more MLS where it takes me in the days, weeks, months, years.
Well, and with that cup coming up that the world is chasing after, don't be surprised if we knock on your door to talk about everything going on with the Canadian men's national team. Somebody who gets to actually hear up close and personal the voice of Michel Lacroix. And we know what he means to everything there when it comes to the Rouge, Blanc et Bleu. Good to see you, my friend. Don't be a stranger. Have a great day. It's going to be a long one. It's going to be a fun one. And we got CF Montreal and Atlanta coming up tomorrow night. Thanks for doing Oppo research for us on a Friday. Be good.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right. That's Jon Still. and play-by-play for CF Montreal, does a bunch of other things. He's on Afternoon Drive in Montreal itself on TSN. So it was great to catch up with Jon and find out what's going on, talking Expos, talking Canadiens, and talking CF Montreal. So it's going to be a great matchup there. Abby Cuneo coming up in about 5 minutes, and she'll break down things from Pierce County Elementary School. We're going to find out what's going on with Pierce County girls soccer, and a big win for them. Big shutout over Shaw, and they are in the AA quarters, and that's going to be low left in your bracket as you follow things out. So it's been a fun show. It's great to catch up with Jon. Great to catch up with Lori Lindsey. Great to catch up with Rocco Placentino and find out what's going on in and around the planet. And so, Derek, good morning. Good morning to you, Dell, Abby. And let's see who else is in this morning as I sit here. David is in, and let me double check really quickly here. So let me see if there's anybody that I have missed on the YouTubes. Abby went to go work on the TIFO, so that'll be fun. And let's see, Morning Lokeville, good to have you in this morning as well. And we do not have an official date yet on the folks that are working on Open Cup, and so we will see what it's going to be like, breaking everything down for Open Cup. Okay. For those of you that know the network, yesterday was an adventure, and I'll put it that way. Trying to get Abby Cuneo to talk about Pierce County girls soccer. We were learning the limits of reception inside schools and using Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. So what we decided to do, we're bringing her into the morning show because we need to set up what's going on at noon when it comes to things on the high school side. So we're going to go to Blackshear, unless she lives in the suburbs of Blackshear, like if she lives in Waycross or something. We'll find out. Abby, what's the word?
Now I can't hear.
Okay, well, I can hear you. You're good. I can hear you fine. I've got you. I'll keep talking to the picture's great, and now trying to see if we can catch up with you in a vocal presentation. But I can hear you fine, and I can see you great. So see if we can get the audio on your end sorted out. You got it?
I got it.
Oh, so who is that off your right shoulder that is
sorry, I had to finally get Wi-Fi. They let me come to my house for this. So sorry if you see my cat in the back.
No. We are a guardian safe zone, and we believe in promoting our animals. Usually I have a Pekingese mix that thinks he's a German Shepherd, usually under the desk. So that is perfectly fine. So who is that individual?
That is Rambo. And honestly, up until now, he has not been on the camera, but I guess he heard voices and decided he needed to make his debut.
Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so you get to be our tease for the noon show today, because we're going to talk about things going on at noon with the end of round 2. You started round 2 with a win against Shaw as the number 5 team in the power rankings in Class AA girls. You get the early round win against Columbia. You get the shutout win against Shaw. What have you learned about your team in these first 2 rounds in AA?
So when we initially started, our region was kind of dubbed as the kind of weaker region. Mm-hmm. And so far we've kind of hit these teams that they said were, much better than our region. And we've just gone in and played them like any other team. And so far we've had shutouts on both games.
When you came into this season, if I had told you that you'd be 13-3, that you would have run through a region at 5-0, what would you have told me if I said, if we were talking today, that you would be 13-3, 5-0, and heading into round 3?
I would have been a little bit reluctant. When I came in, I lost probably about 6 seniors last year. And I mean, starters for me, really big time players that had started for me since they were 9th graders. So going into it, I was like, I got a lot of gaps to fill. And, my 9th graders showed up, and some older kids, I've had to do a lot of switching around. playing in positions that they have never played. But, we come with the punches, and my girls haven't let me down. They've played really well this whole season.
What a lot of folks may not know is that you are on a win streak, because I mentioned your win-loss record.
Yes,
And
sir.
those losses happened all the way at the beginning of the year.
Absolutely.
And when I talk to coaches, I'll always ask, not every win was 100%. Not every win grades out at 100, but not every loss grades out as a 0.
Yeah.
When you started your season out losing to Camden and then losing back-to-back to Frederica Academy, what did you learn about yourselves in those first 3 games where you gave up 11 of the 13 goals that you gave up? 11 goals right there that were given up. What'd you learn?
So when we start the season, I try to do this thing where I call it a humbling session, where I get a lot of really good teams. Frederica Academy and Camden, they're really good teams. And I try to go ahead and get my girls prepared for, if you lose early in the season, you'll go ahead and be prepared if you lose on down the road. But my girls, main thing that we go for, we can lose off a skill any day, and I'm fine with that. But if you lose from not hustling, that's when we're not okay.
And I just realized this when I was doing the math in my head. You haven't given up a goal since you lost last to Frederica Academy here.
Yes. We got a really good back line. When I played soccer, I played a center mid spot and a forward spot, and I kind of trained my back 4 to be the type of defenders that I didn't like to see. And they really stepped up, and, again, like you said, we hadn't been scored on from that besides winning the PKs with Savannah Arts, and that's been the only time since then that we've been scored on.
How see now I'm stunned and shocked and trying to figure out how to formulate a question here. How do you remind them not to look at what they've done since those first 3 losses?
Mm-hmm.
And because you know what social media is these days. Social media is going to sit there and it's like, hey, look what Pierce County's done. They haven't given up a goal since 2008. By comparison, you haven't given up a goal since February 17th.
Mm-hmm.
How do you have your team hang on to that information, but not dwell on it, so they don't sit there and it's like, oh, we gave up a goal. Obviously, season's over. How do you keep them focused and understand that, yeah, that's cool, but that's back there?
Yes. Main thing with my girls, I don't think they think about it as much as I think about it with not being scored on. If you would have told them that information today, they probably would have been like, are you sure? Are you sure we haven't been scored on since then? Like I said, their main goal is, we want a shutout. If we don't get a shutout, that's fine. A win's a win. But that's been my defenders' biggest thing. They're like, I like being the team that hadn't been scored on in our region. That's the thing I get to tell people when we go in the meetings. I'm like, when we pick something, I'm like, my defenders have made it to where we haven't been scored on from anyone in our region. You can't get past that stat.
No, that is a stunner. If you would, time to brag on your team a little bit. Since you're going to Columbus, and it's still on the 4th, right? It's still going to be on the 4th. Do we know that officially? Okay.
Yes.
It's a pack of lunch, a dinner, maybe a cot and a blow-up mattress and some snacks and everything to go from Blackshear to Columbus for this one.
Uh-huh.
Who have been some of your standouts this year that folks will be looking at when they watch you for the first time going up against Columbus next week?
So one of my seniors, her name's Maya Cochran. She's number 22 on the field. She has been one of my standout players for probably the last 3 years. As a freshman, she came in and she was a little bit scared, as most freshmen are, and she wanted to be a center mid. We sit there and we went through practice after practice. In our sophomore year, I finally said, hey, let's try a winger position and let's see where that goes for. And of course, she went from someone that no one saw on the field to, first team all region, multiple back-to-backs. And today we have a coaches meeting, and she is one of the players that they have as one of the selections as most outstanding player. So she's on that list of, when we vote, she's going to be the one. She hustles every single game. She gives it her all. If I tell her to go run back and forth like a crazy person, she'll do it. She's just a really phenomenal player and just extremely coachable.
When it comes to offensive side of the things, obviously defense is something that it's when you're really hanging your hat on. 67 goals scored, so that comes out to about 4 a match. Who are some of the standouts for you that have done really well for you this year on the offensive side?
So, like I said, Maya Cochran, I have 3 girls that are like, they're the little duo. I call them triple espresso.
Ah, okay.
Maya, you have Liza Thornton, and you have Bradley Walker. Liza Thornton plays a forward position. She's up top. And then Bradley Walker plays the center mid position. Bradley Walker is a 9th grader this year, starting for me. And she's been the most phenomenal player I've had in the center mid spot. She makes plays back and forth, and she just plays some of the best balls ever. Unfortunately, sometimes people only see assists and they think, they're not the scorer, they're not the best. But she really takes it up a notch when she's in the middle. And of course, Liza Thornton up top, she has an amazing shot. She might take the weirdest angle I've ever seen on a shot possible. And that's the way she likes to take them. She'll go out really wide and take a shot and upper 90s almost every time. So
what has the vibe been like there on campus and in Blackshear and maybe drifting into Waycross a little bit with this run that you've been on? What's the support like there for your program and for soccer there at Pierce County?
So, I'd made this comment this morning. A lot of people in our community have not gotten into soccer except for probably the last 5 to 10 years. Mm-hmm. And so far, I have people day after day, even when I go to work, people I know that probably have never watched a soccer game have come up and they're like, hey, I watched your 2nd round playoff. They're like, I didn't realize soccer was so fun to watch. I'm ready to watch your 3rd round and this and that. And I even had someone come up there and practice. A guy who had watched me when I was playing in high school, he said, he's like, because of you, he's like, I started watching soccer, and he's like, I've watched every single one of your girls' games this year. He said, I've never even cared about soccer. But community's been great. They always congratulate you. Small town. Mm-hmm. You even have the superintendent texting you saying congrats on your win. You don't have that very often, but community's great around here.
And so did you grow up playing at Pierce County? I did. Okay.
I moved to Pierce County when I was in 7th grade, and then right about the time I moved is when Pierce County had just kind of started their program. They had only had it for a couple years maybe. So I came in as they were starting, and it's a long process to get things where they are, but they are where they are.
Well, and you mentioned people coming out to practice. I'm used to hearing that for Coach Herring.
Uh-huh.
And so they're coming out and seeing you at practice now?
Oh, yeah. So, we had a baseball game yesterday, and, some of these crowds that see us practicing over there, they came and watched. They came and sat there and like, we're so excited for you, and we're ready to watch you for your 3rd round.
So what has study hall been like for you getting ready for Columbus? Are you just going to cram on the weekend? Are you going to focus on yourself? How do you do things in the playoffs?
Usually I kind of take it game by game. I've been looking at Columbus's games. Of course, people black out most of their games as they're going, but, I've sat there and studied their film, seeing what players to mark and see who does this, but it is a lot of cramming and, watching video after video.
We have at SDH what we call the Georgia Call-Up, and mm-hmm. It's a focus on student athletes who are seniors, mm-hmm. who, for whatever reason, they're not getting the looks you think they deserve. They're not getting looks, period, because of whatever. It could be geography, could be they're too this, they're too that, they're too far away. Is there anyone on your program that is a senior that is the total package, academics, athletics, extracurriculars, and they would fit that Georgia call-up, that they're not getting enough looks, they're not getting the looks you think they deserve, that they want to go play in college? Would anybody fit?
I have one player, the Maya Cochran girl, except the only thing with her is she doesn't want to play college soccer, which I get that, you know. Once you go up to that level, it's kind of a job, and if you don't love it, then, you know, it's hard to do.
Understood. No doubt. Looking forward to it. What time's the start time over in Columbus on Monday?
They have not finalized it yet, but we're shooting for 5. Might be 5 or 6.
Yeah, because you got to get from there to there, and then you got to get back when you're done.
Yes.
And so that's the challenge of this. When you're one final question for you, because my brain is a golden retriever's. When you're doing a long roadie, how do you break it up to where your team is as sharp as they can be, knowing that they've just gotten off a yellowhound and they've gone hundreds of miles? How do you make sure that they're as sharp as they can be on a long road trip like that?
What we try to do is, planning on leaving in the morning, making sure we have stops for lunch, let them stop for lunch, stretch out their legs, get a little bit of that. You know, of course, you have the bathroom breaks, get like 2 of those. My girls are not going to be used to the 4 hours, but during our region play, we play people almost 3 hours away. And so far, they've actually done well with the whole getting off the bus after 3 hours and going to play. I hadn't noticed them slacking, but this will definitely be harder for them. A bunch of high school girls, and you cram them into one bus. It's a lot on everybody. But I think they should be able to handle it fine. They'll be ready to get off that bus, and they'll be ready to move. Number
6, Pierce County, going up against number 3, Columbus. That's rankings, not power rankings. So as I filled up my brackets in pen, down here low left, Pierce County, Columbus, and the arrow. Pierce County's going to Columbus on Monday. Late afternoon, hopeful start, because it's a long way to go from Blackshear to Columbus. Abby, we did it.
We did it. 10 times the charm.
Yes. So thank everybody, at the elementary school, for letting you play hooky to do this. Thank Coach Jernigan next time you see him for connecting us on this. We'll keep an eye on what's going on there at Pierce County. Love what you're doing and building the sport. Thanks for doing this, and make sure that Rambo gets all of the treats and everything and doesn't escape when you have to head back to school. Thanks for your time, Abby. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
There we go. It's Abby Cuneo. She's the head coach at Pierce County. And so we made it. It actually happened. Yeah, the struggles yesterday on the noon show were huge. Speaking of the noon show, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente, Red Clay Friday. It's going to be trips to Greenbrier, Thomasville, and Cordele. That's going to be the show coming up at noon. We're going to catch up with Rob Husted from Greenbrier off the top. We're going to catch up with both coaches at Thomasville, because your top 5 in both boys and girls, and you're making runs. We're going to find out about these programs and share notes there. And then we're going to wrap up with Michael McGinnis, the head coach at Crisp. They are traveling as we speak to Hiawassee and to Union County because of the game that they have later today. So we caught up with Michael before he left to find out about the program. Number 3 versus number 4, upper right-hand side of the bracket, AA boys tonight in Hiawassee. And Crisp is already headed that way. And so we're going to catch up and have those 4 coaches on Red Clay Friday, last day of round 2 in the playoffs for the GHSA. And we have an idea where we're going to start next week, and we have an idea where we're going to be going. So it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday next week. Quarterfinals Monday, Tuesday, semifinals Thursday, Friday, and then the finals the following week. Upson Lee, Pius, St. Pius, and Duluth. Those are the sites. We don't know the finals and who's going where yet, but we'll break that all down for you. Okay, before we get out of here for a Friday, let me see what's going on and what I might have missed overseas. And we'll check with sources and papers and sources, and we'll get you gossip, rumor, and innuendo and all that stuff before we get out of here. Bournemouth technical director Simon Francis leaving the club at the end of the season. Not the end of the summer window, the end of the season. And it looks like the league that we don't talk about is interested in his services. Liverpool, latest club to consider a move for Adam Wharton. Midfield signing not ruled out due to a potential Curtis Jones departure and the uncertainty over Alexis. So we'll keep an eye on that. And all the other news that is fit to print that is there with all of that stuff. So let's get you into, and I'm going to do two things at once. So I have to do two things at once. And so this is not an indictment of me, and no, the show is not over, but I've got to do two things at once here. So let's get you into the juice boxes and everything else that we need to get into when it comes to gossip, rumor, and innuendo. And since we've already done what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it, we will do that. So we'll do gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and we will continue going on here. But like I said, the Red Clay Friday, that is going to be on at noon across the network, and so we're going to have 4 coaches, and we're going to break it all down for you there when it comes to anything and everything that you'll need to know when it comes to the high school game tonight. Once again, 8 o'clock start. It is at Lambert, and it is Pebblebrook and Lambert. That is going to be happening tonight, 8 o'clock start. And the reason that we say it is an 8 o'clock start-ish, we're going to say 8 o'clock-ish, is because of the activity that is going on. There are 2 lacrosse games on campus, and those are going to end before the action will start with the soccer match between Pebblebrook and Lambert tonight when it comes to the number 1 team in the state, and we're going to be keeping an eye on all of that. So your rumors. West Ham's Alhaji Malik Diouf has emerged as a potential transfer target for Manchester United, according to The Guardian. Senegalese international of interest to United as they look to add competition for Luke Shaw. Diouf joined West Ham last summer in a £19 million deal, has become a key part of their bid to stave off relegation from the Premier League. So he is an option for United. Priority is still to bolster their midfield. Adding a fullback will only come if there is budget remaining. Inter Milan have agreed personal terms with Spurs keeper Guglielmo Vicario, according to Team Talk. Heavily linked with an exit at the end of this season with a return to Serie A on the cards. Claimed to be free to leave Spurs, though an agreement is yet to be reached between the clubs. Spurs believed to be assessing their options to replace Vicario, who's been in North London since his arrival from Empoli in 2023. Real Betis center back Nathan has emerged as a transfer target for Barcelona this summer, according to Mundo Deportivo, which claims the defender is seen as a cheaper option at center back, amid links to Bastoni and Christian Romero, who we've been talking about in the past. Nathan enjoyed a loan spell at Real Betis last summer. 25-year-old Brazilian has 29 La Liga appearances this year, drawing attention from Premier League clubs like West Ham, Newcastle, and Bournemouth. Liverpool and Manchester United have shown interest in Juve forward of Francisco Conceição, according to Tuttosport. 23-year-old winger has been a regular for the Serie A side since his permanent switch from Porto last summer in a deal worth around £27.5 million. Liverpool have been linked with a move for Conceição as a replacement for Mo Salah, while Manchester United are said to have turned their attention to the Portuguese international in an option to bolster front lines, though it may be tough to attempt a move over the summer. Alejandro Balda, the Barca star, another left-back target on the market for Manchester United, according to Sport. Report states that the Blaugrana are facing the possibility of facilitating at least one major sale in the coming weeks, with United willing to explore a switch for Balda. In particular, 22-year-old Barcelona Academy graduate is impressed when available to Hansi Flick. Injury issues have been a persistent problem in his early career. Deal running through 28 or until 28. Highly regarded. Possibility of an exit is on the cards if an acceptable offer is received. Inter Milan looking to make a proposal for to Real Madrid for attacker Nico Paz as the striker looks to set his return to the Spanish club with an option to return in his Como contract. That's from Corriere dello Sport. Scott McTominay close to signing a new contract extension with Napoli, putting an end to any hope of a return to the Premier League this summer. Stay at Napoli, my man. The McTominay, he is doing wonders at Napoli. Stay. Tomatoes, fresh tomatoes will do wonders for you. Just ask Scott McTominay. That's from Team Talk. Manuel Neuer wants to extend his contract at Bayern Munich with an offer until 27 on the table, which would take the 40-year-old keeper to 16 years at the club. That's from Florian Plettenberg. Former Manchester City keeper Ederson facing a potential exit from Fenerbahce, and the league we don't talk about has 2 teams that are interested, according to Ekrem Konur. Villa have shown interest in Galatasaray midfielder Gabriel Sara, who is 2 years on from his switch from Norwich. That's from Nicola Shira. Football Insider. United want to add a center back to their ranks this summer, having suffered from injuries in the back line this season. Jorge Mendes pushing on with a plan to get Bernardo Silva to join Barca as a free agent this summer with a, quote, delicate negotiation period coming up for the Manchester City midfielder. That's from Sport. Spurs, Villa, Leeds have made internal checks over a potential move for Leo Cienza, 27, from Southampton. And that is from Ekrem Konur. All right, so let's get into any other stories that we have. We got to get into juice boxes, obviously, with what's going on in England. And we'll lay all of that out for you this weekend as well. Let's get you into the juice boxes tonight. Friday night football, Burnley and Leeds. With a caretaker manager, Burnley is at a plus 800, Leeds at a minus 256. 4 matches tomorrow, 3 at 10 o'clock. Brentford favored, hosting West Ham at a minus 105. Newcastle slightly favored at home to Brighton at a plus 150. Brighton a plus 165. Wolves a plus 235 at home, hosting Sunderland. Sunderland on the road is a plus 125, draws a plus 250. 12:30, Arsenal and Fulham. Arsenal is a minus 217 at home at 12:30. Draws a plus 359, and Fulham is a plus 650. Sunday, 3 games, 9 o'clock, Bournemouth and Palace. Bournemouth favored at the Vitality at a minus 161. Crystal Palace, having played in the midweek, is a plus 425. Draws a plus 320. 10:30, Manchester United hosting Liverpool. Our Drew Dickinson will be there. Manchester United plus 129. Keep an eye out on Drewski's socials. So he'll let you know what's going on outside the stadium. Liverpool a plus 195, draws a plus 290. 2 o'clock, it is Villa and Spurs. Villa a plus 114, Spurs a plus 2.25, draws a plus 260. Then you have a day game on Monday. Chelsea and Nottingham Forest, a minus 141. Forest is a plus 400, draws a plus 300. Monday Night Football, Everton hosting Manchester City. Manchester City is a minus 213. Draw is a plus 380, and Everton is a plus 550. Remember that Arsenal has a match in hand, but they're only 3 points up, and you look at the goal difference, and it is 1 goal. Manchester City have scored more goals, 2. Arsenal has a better goal difference, 1. Match in hand, 1. Point difference, 3. It's going down to the wire with 5 or 4 matches to go. Right now, Bournemouth is in the Conference League spot at 49 points. Chelsea's lost 5 in a row. They're at 48 points. They're ahead of Brentford only on goal difference. And they're only ahead of Fulham on goal difference. Everybody's at 48 points. Just to give you an idea, you have 7 teams separated by 4 points that could get you from Europa League to 12th. Brighton at 50, Bournemouth at 49, Europa and Europa Conference League. Chelsea, Brentford, Fulham all at 48, goal difference the decider. Everton at 47 points, they've lost 2 in a row. Sunderland has lost 2 in a row, they're at 46 points. That's 1 through 12. And also remember, it's the last day of the regular season in the Championship, League 1 and League 2. And you have the chaos that is attached to trying to get into the promotion playoff. All the matches are at 7:30 tomorrow morning on Paramount Plus. Wrexham hosting Middlesbrough, they're a dog at a plus 170. Hull favored at home against Norwich at a minus 105. Derby favored at home against Sheffield United at a minus 116. That's to get in to the promotion playoff. Remember, to give you an idea where things stand, Ipswich is in the 2 spot right now. They're in the 2nd automatic promotion spot. They're a point ahead of Millwall, 2 points ahead of Middlesbrough. Southampton is going to be in the promotion playoff. You just don't know where. So Ipswich needs to better Millwall and Middlesbrough because they've got a better goal difference than both to stay in that automatic promotion spot. But the 2, the 3, and the 4 are in play, as is the 6, the 7, and the 8. 6 gets you in, 7 and 8 do not. Last game of the regular season, Wrexham at 70 points ahead of Hull on 1 goal in goal difference. Hull has scored 1 more goal. Derby County at 69 points. Nice. And they're ahead of both of them on goal difference. So Wrexham, Hull, and Derby, 6, 7, and 8 to get into the promotion playoff. Ipswich, Millwall, Middlesbrough, 2, 3, and 4 to get automatically promoted. Or not. So all of those are at 7:30 on Paramount Plus. League One, everybody's at 10 o'clock. Paramount Plus. You know who's in? The Carpetbaggers. They are in. That's League Two. Sorry, hang on. So Lincoln City is in. Cardiff is in. We know the 2 automatic promotion spots. So you don't know the promotion playoff positions right now. Bolton's at 75. Stockport County's at 74 ahead of Bradford City on goal difference. Stevenage is at 72. Luton is at 71. Plymouth Argyle is at 70. 6 teams, 5 points, 4 spots. The last relegation spot is in play. It's either Exeter or Leyton Orient. Exeter's at 49 points. Leyton Orient is at 51. If Exeter wins and Leyton Orient draws, Exeter stays, Leyton Orient does not. All of those are at 10 o'clock Saturday morning. League Two. And this is where the Carpetbaggers are coming in. Everything's at 10 o'clock in League One and League Two. You've got, as the standings are loading, the Carpetbaggers, they're in. They're being automatically promoted. That much we know. Bromley is in. They're automatically promoted even though they've lost 2 of their last 3. 85 points and 84. Then you have anywhere from 3 to 9 either being automatically promoted in the playoff or not. Cambridge United at 81 points. Massive goal difference. They would be the 3rd team in. Salford comes in at 80. Notts County at 79. Grimsby's 1-4 of 5. They're at 77. Chesterfield at 76. Swindon right now is in 8th at 75. They've lost 2 of 3. Barnet has won 4 in a row to get to 73 points. They've got a better goal difference than Chesterfield. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 all in play. Relegation spots still in play. Barrow needs to win. They've lost 4 of 5, but they need to win. Harrogate needs to lose because they have a superior goal difference. And Crawley has the best goal difference of the 3 at 39 points. So basically, and then you have Newport and Tranmere. If they lose, they're at 40 points, and Harrogate wins, then everything goes into chaos. So 5 teams, 2 spots, relegation League Two. League One, League Two, 10 o'clock Paramount. Championship 7:30 Paramount. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, and then we'll get out of here, I promise, because we got to come back for high school in a half hour. Tonight, FS2, 7:30, Canadian Premier League. USA, Premier League at 3. ESPN Deportes, La Liga at 3. Fox Deportes, Serie A 2:45. Plus, La Liga at 3. League One at 7 o'clock. Fox ONE, Serie A, Serie B with a match that is that already happened this morning, and the Canadian Premier League. Fox Soccer Plus, Serie B, that match already happened. MLS Next Pro, tonight late, Ventura County, San Jose Earthquakes 2. Paramount Plus, Serie A, Scottish Premiership, Livingston and Aberdeen at 2:45. Women Peacock Super League, DC and Dallas, 7 o'clock. Victory Plus, Houston and Seattle, 8 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow, BN, quadruple header, Liga and Espanol simulcasting. Golazo, Wrexham and Middlesbrough at 7:30. USL Championship at 10 p.m. CBS Sports Network, USL Championship at 6. Fox, Big Fox, Kansas City, Seattle at 2:50 and 2:55. Salt Lake and Portland at 4:55. One game than the other. Fox Soccer Plus, the league we don't talk about. FS1 has the Turnpike Derby. NBC Premier League, Arsenal Fulham at 12:30. Brentford West Ham and USA at 10. ESPN Deportes triple header La Liga. Fox Deportes doubleheader MLS. Liga MX 9 o'clock. Telemundo Premier League 12:30. Liga MX simulcast 9 o'clock. Liga MX to the NA Atlas Cruz Azul at 11:15 p.m. tomorrow night. Universo Premier League doubleheader 10 and 12:30. Liga MX at 9. Univision Atlas Cruz Azul at 11:15. Apple TV, all your matchups in MLS. It was great to have Lori Lindsey come on. She's got Chris Whittingham, and they're Philadelphia, Nashville. ESPN Plus, Eredivisie, Bundesliga, La Liga, Paramount Plus, Serie A, USL Championship, Peacock Tripleheader Premier League, and then at Liga MX at 9 o'clock. Women's side, CBS Sports Network, Serie A Femminile, Napoli and Juve, bright and early. Lyon and Arsenal, Champions League, 9 a.m. Ion, Tripleheader, NWSL, Paramount Plus, UEFA Champions League, and the doubleheader in the Super League as they figure out their last playoff spot. That gets you into Sunday. It's all out there for you. Brought to you by our friends at Fanatis at fntz.co/soccer down here. Back in 30 minutes to do Red Clay Friday. Visits to Greenbrier, Thomasville, Crisp County. Thanks to Abby Cuneo, the head coach at Pierce County. We got that one done. Thanks to Jon Still, play-by-play CF Montreal. Thanks to Lori Lindsey, Apple TV from her home in Philly. Thanks to Rocco Placentino, FC Supra. Find out about a really cool story in the Canadian Premier League. And thanks to all of y'all. Very, very busy news day on a bunch of different fronts. Thanks to all the guests. Thanks to all of you. We couldn't do this without you. And thanks to our friends at Atlanta News First for the story that they did on SDH yesterday. Back at it a half hour once again. And we'll talk high school one more day this week. We'll go over all the scores and all the things. We'll get you ready for it all coming up in just a little bit around the corner. But since it is a Friday, thanks to all of you once again for another fantastic week here at SDH. Means one thing and one thing only. That we wrap up the week this way. Mucha plati, I'll play it safe. We'll catch up with you in a half hour to talk high school on the Red Clay Soccer Report.
The war was on. The keys on the typewriter had sharp points that kept sticking into our fingers. The dictating equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress, the